Why is Chief Engineer open up to more than just the Explorator?
Because theoretically anybody could be the chief engineer, I think. I don't know. I'm not sure. Welcome, my friends. Welcome back to the Krieg Dominion. I am Omar Krieg, your Lord and Commander of the Krieg Dominion, and your host for tonight's event, Warhammer 40,000 Rogue Trader Tithes of Acheron. This is episode 5 of Segmentum First, Into the Maw. And with me are, of course, my wonderful Grimdark players, Rodance Alturios, Warner, Darius, and Rev. We're going to check in with these guys for a brief second or two to see what's new and exciting for them. I'm going to play on my phone and do something silly. We were talking briefly before we started going live about ship rolls, and we're going to jump into that shortly in a much more substantial, creative, something or other way. But first, I got to pull up my Zoom window because I'm not even sure who I call on first. Warner, you're up in the top left of the corner of my screen, according to Zoom.
Well, that's lovely.
What's new and exciting for you, my friend?
Well, I am drinking a Tom Navulin sherry cask Scotch whiskey, and that excites me.
Well, you know what? If you're excited, that doesn't necessarily mean I'm excited. But I'm glad for you having something that excites you. That sounds still weird, but I digress. So what kind of whiskey is this? What are we talking about here? Because I don't know shit about whiskey, other than
So,
some of it's great, some of it's not.
whiskey is a very broad category.
Yes.
There are lots of different things. This is Scotch, so by law, out of Scotland, period, full stop. It is a Speyside whiskey, which means the distillery is within X amount of miles from the River Spey. That's the region that it comes from.
Okay.
And it is finished in sherry casks. That means that after it has spent whatever time aging in ex-bourbon barrels, like most Scotch does, because bourbon, another kind of whiskey, American whiskey, by law has to be fresh oak barrels. There are a lot of ex-bourbon barrels to go around,
Mm-hmm.
so other people age their whiskey in ex-bourbon barrels because there
Mm.
are a lot of them to go around.
And it's easy
But
to do,
yes,
theoretically.
but aging your whiskey in something other than bourbon barrels can impart different flavors. So
Yeah.
after this is spent, let's say 10 years in bourbon, it might spend 2 years in sherry casks to impart some of the sherry notes, depending on what kind of sherry it is. Oloroso sherry might impart a nuttiness, sort of a baking spice.
Yeah. I
Uh,
gotcha.
Pedro Jimenez sherry might impart like a strawberry or raspberry sort of red fruit flavor to the whiskey.
So I believe you said this is a sherry chap.
Yeah,
Jesus
this is
Christ,
a
I can't
sherry
pronounce it.
cask.
Thank you.
Yes, sherry cask Speyside Scotch whiskey.
That does sound interesting. I am not big into whiskey. The closest I get is, shots of tequila from time to time. And by time to time, I mean once after dinner, maybe another at the end of the night, and then on the weekends, a couple more thrown in between beers. But I digress. The fact that you have something you enjoy is always a pleasant thing. And by you, in this particular case, I mean you, but generically as well. Having
Mm-hmm.
something that you enjoy is always a pleasant experience. You got anything else?
Well, that's me for the moment.
Awesome. Rev, you're next.
Hello, my name is Dmitry.
Oh, Jesus
Do you
Christ.
do you find yourself short on money, wanting things? Well, fear no longer. Your dreams can come true. All you have to do is bet on hobby horse betting. Come come to horseshafthead.com and bet on the
Oh
races.
no.
Get out of here, stalker.
That's not a real well, it might be a real website, but I am not endorsing that website.
So come on down and make your dreams true today.
Oh my god. He told me last week he was going to say some shit
Mhm.
like this. I should have been prepared. All right, you're done, Rev. Darius, what's new and exciting for you, my friend?
Not even gonna let him continue.
Nope, I'm not,
Okay.
because I don't know what he's gonna follow up that with. I don't want to know.
My week has been pretty well. My 2 weeks now have pretty much been normal. I've been watching a lot of anime, gaming a lot, and reading a lot of material.
Right on. I had my
Nice.
first game of Alpha Strike
That's
the other
about
day.
it. I'm
Did not
so
win.
sorry.
I did not win.
First game of what?
Alpha Strike. It's
Oh, nice.
the watered down version of classic BattleTech. Not for nothing, I enjoyed it.
Simplify.
You know, whatever you want to call it.
It's the one where the one BattleTech match won't take 5 hours.
Correct.
You mean you don't have 2 full lances or 2 full like 12 to 15 man squads on either side and then spend 2 days resolving all of the combat?
Oof.
That's what would normally happen in CBT, yeah. But I will say, 1, I enjoyed it. 2, it was a single mech versus a single mech. It was mostly for me to get the concept of what it was and understanding some of the basic rules. I lost, but you know that happens. Anybody that's Darius, you know, I'm good with losing, especially as a GM. It doesn't matter. It's encouraged that the game master loses his fights. But yeah, it was a good time. Rodance, you're next, my friend. Let's do
Game
it.
masters can't lose fights because they're never the participant of the fight to begin with. They're only the referee.
I suppose that's an alternative way to look at it. But also, when you're the game master and you're the one leading a particular team in particular, I realize I used the same word twice, very close there. But when you're in charge of a given team as though you were a player, it's you're definitely playing against me, not just the GM being like, do I let him win? Do I let him walk over me? I digress. Please continue.
Yep. Let's see. Where did I put my customer service voice today?
Oh God, please don't hurt me. Don't hurt me. Oh, man.
Well, today, if you decided you didn't want to do any betting on the hobby horse competitions there, you could always choose to invest in our lovely selection of tarot forecasts that are all available here for in this lovely card selection. You can buy your own booster packs of blind packs of cards, and you can have as many as you would like, and we only charge a nominal shipping fee of $19.99. Credits due immediately upon purchase.
All right, you guys are fucking killing me with this, and we're past 7 minutes, so even though I've dropped a couple other words, I can drop the big one. Fuck that. Oh my God, Alterios, help me! Please give me some sanity back.
I've been playing Diablo 4 with a mutual friend. So
You've been playing what?
Diablo 4 with
Diablo
with
4.
With a friend.
I'm not sure if
He
that would.
sold his soul to Blizzard Activision.
You know,
Hey man, I play
Now
WoW.
Microsoft.
They already had that.
listen, I'll say this much. Blizzard, for all of their problems, whatever they may be, and I'm not going to get into any of them, they know how to put a fucking video game together. Let's just be honest.
Do they? Overwatch
Used
2?
to.
Okay. All right, let me retract and refine my statement. 20 years ago, Blizzard Activision knew how to put a video game together.
Don't you guys have cell phones?
Absolutely. Oh,
Old Blizz is amazing. I don't. You can
old
say what you
Blizz
want.
rules.
I definitely enjoyed me some World of Warcraft back in the day. I'm not gonna lie to you. I thought that was some pretty good shit.
Stole part of my soul.
It definitely took several moments of my life.
I still enjoy StarCraft 2 and various Diablo.
Oh hell yeah!
I have played through and beaten Diablo 3 as far as like the main story or whatever the fuck. But
Diablo 3 is the game that convinced me to never pay full price for a Blizzard game again. Because I spent 2 months hearing all of my actually maybe not 2 months, maybe like 6 weeks, hearing all of my friends be like, this game is amazing, you need to get it, blah 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 blah, game, and I bought it, and that week they were like, this game's boring. and they didn't want to play with me anymore. And I was like,
Oh, they got
F
you.
this noise.
They got you.
I had that moment with StarCraft 2 when I realized the original StarCraft 2 base game did not ship with the Zerg campaign.
Oops.
Hey. All right.
I think more of it's free to play now.
Shall we get started before we spend the night lamenting our gaming woes? I say yes. Previously on Tithes of Acheron into the Maw, acquisition of goods, and, more importantly, navigational charts leading into the Expanse, as well as taking on a lesser task from the Port Wander Scrivener, a man named Jorn, having given the crew a small box of potentially questionable books to be taken to Footfall and delivered to Scrivener Victress Lorraine. Returning to the ship, the rogue trader was accosted by local elements of the Casbalica, and in that altercation, new leadership of the local dock workers team has been implemented by way of a plasma pistol melting the previous manager's face right off their skull. With all things set and into place, it was time to finally transfer into the warp and begin this mad quest to find a lost treasure ship. The translation so far appears to have gone fairly well, but as all who ply the warp know, it is not a question of if, but rather when travel becomes cantankerous.
I got a little crazier.
Yeah, and you know what? I have somewhere around my desk, I have written down handwritten notes about what everybody's willpower failure results were. I didn't put it in my notes, so I don't know, and I'm not about to go digging through everything on my desk, so hopefully you guys remember, and if not, you got a freebie.
Nothing happened to Romance. Or Rodance.
No, Rodance was the only one that passed her willpower test.
That's why I said nothing happened to her.
I have a
I do know
willpower-based career.
Yeah.
May I remind you all?
Yeah.
I'm slightly paranoid.
You mean more
My
slightly.
willpower doesn't suck, but my roll did.
Yeah, there was some bad rolls. Nothing I could do about that one. I do remember
Alturios basically thinks that he's
the flesh is weak. I remember that one.
Warner, didn't you become a gibbering mess about something?
I went a little crazy.
Yeah.
I lost some of my sanity.
That's right, and you went over a 10-point threshold.
Correct.
And now you're unsettled, I believe?
I am unsettled, but I did make the thing not to have a special...
like a mutation or whatever.
Permanent debuff thing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I don't think it's
Thank you for small blessings,
the
gods
one time the
of
dice,
RNG.
The one time the dice actually worked for you.
I became an old man with palsy.
Oh yeah, you got the tremors or some shit, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, fun times. You have been in the warp for about a day. This day has been spent more or less going about your daily activities aboard the ship. Rogadillo. Did I even come close that time?
Better.
Okay. Rogadillo, you are probably, unless you disagree and want to be doing something else, you are in what would otherwise pass for the Lord Captain's personal office or duty office, whatever you want to call it, aboard the ship as you're plying the warp. And there is a knock at your door, which may or may not be open or may not be closed. It's your choice.
It would, let's say closed, but I would... Do I not have staff?
Yes, and it's your... For lack of... It's probably some... I don't know. It's one of Captain James T. Kirk's many female yeomen. Ringing something. I don't know. It's some random crew member just pops the door open and says, "My lord, the Seneschal is here to see you."
Good, yes. Come in.
And Marcellus Thale comes in, bows before your desk. A simple... Now, when I say bow, it's not like a full, deep
It's a head
bow.
nod.
It's a head nod, really, is what it is. Yeah. And he says, "And Lord Captain, I am happy to report our progress thus far has been as smooth as any could expect."
Excellent. Seneschal, if you would please, I would like to speak with all of the chief members of different departments individually at their convenience.
Absolutely, my lord. I will begin the scheduling processes momentarily. I do wish, if I might, have a moment of your time.
Certainly.
May I sit? I'm assuming you have a chair opposite your desk for others to sit at. Or he will stand if not. I don't know. It's up to you.
I have the most uncomfortable, hard wooden chair. No, I'm kidding.
You have the
I
Iron
have-
Throne for your guests. That's what
Yeah,
I'm
he
hearing.
has a casting couch. Wait, what?
Whoa. Awkward.
That's
He will
not in his
sit.
public office. That's in his private office.
Yeah, that's the private office. The behind.
And I
the-
wouldn't be. The Seneschal wouldn't want to sit there.
No, he would not. He wouldn't even look at it. He'd just be like, "I'll stand." Um, Lord Captain, I have two small. I don't know whether to call them tasks or favors. I'll call them points of discussion. The first is in relation to me personally. Well, actually, it's three things. I apologize. I'm trying to get my thoughts in order. As you are, I'm sure, aware by now, my brain runs in multiple directions at once as part of my managerial responsibilities aboard this vessel. At any rate, I must point out, possibly even reiterate, that we need to get you to Regius as soon as humanly possible, predominantly so that your followers will see you as their new lord. They will know who you are.
Yes, all of the official minutiae for.
Indeed, and also, of course, in conjunction with that is your ascension ceremony that must be completed. Not within a specific time frame, but just generically needs to be done because things need to be made official, seals signed and delivered to the High Lords of Terra, etc., etc.
Certainly.
Secondly, once we do arrive at Regius, I'm assuming at this point it will be sometime after our current endeavor, I will be retiring from your ship's company. Your mother and I had an agreement prior to her demise that when and if that opportunity, or I shouldn't say opportunity, when and if that moment came, that I would be retiring to Regius to assume my new role as the governor of that planet. I have, of course, any and all documentation, certification, paperwork, etc., that you may need in order to verify this information, as I know that you don't know me anywhere near as well as your mother knew me once upon a time.
And who is the current governor of Regius?
There is a... I'm trying to think, because out of character, I didn't actually figure that part out for myself, and I should have. It would be either a regent or it would be a member of the Thale family. Not like his father or what have you, but it'd be someone. Effectively, it'd be a regent either for your mother or for Thale himself.
I get
They're-
deputy.
They're all
Second
on Thale.
cousin. Twice
They're all
removed.
on Thale.
No, that's not it. At any rate, I do have the data slate files if you would like to review them at your leisure. As far as this agreement between your mother and I, that I would be assuming the governorship of Regius.
And did you have anyone in mind, a protege to take your place on board the ship?
I certainly will add to my staggering list of daily tasks to find someone to take my stead. I have time, obviously, so I will ensure that the short list that you receive will be one of only the most qualified applicants. I.e., I'm going to
Surely,
roll
if
another
you're-
character in about a month.
Surely, Seneschal, if you were contemplating retiring, you would have already had someone in mind.
I probably would, but I don't want to speak before the individuals in question have been at least interrogated by myself regarding their capabilities and interests.
Oh, please, invite me. A good interrogation is always entertaining.
I may have used the wrong word. In the grimdark future of now, interrogation might have been the best word, but in other parlances, perhaps not.
No interrogations.
I believe in other cultures the word interview would have been used,
Ah,
or
How
perhaps
unfortunate.
discussion. At any rate,
Tell me, what's your biggest weakness?
no, don't lie. We already know.
where do you see yourself in 5 parsecs?
Well, keep in mind, parsecs is distance, not time.
That was the joke.
Yes, I know, I'm aware. At any rate, Lord Captain, the final matter I wanted to address, unless you had any other pending questions, was the matter of specific roles for your senior crew and staff aboard this vessel. As you probably are aware, there are a multitude of roles that should be filled either by members of your particular staff or identified from the crew itself.
Very well. I feel mildly indebted to certain individuals who have already rendered me aid. So perhaps we will allow them to choose what they feel they are best suited towards, and then fill the vacancies from there.
As you wish, Lord Captain. It is, after all, your ship. I'm merely here to advise and assist. He says that, and you probably catch that there's a slight condescending tone, but it's meant more in a sarcastic manner, without sounding sarcastic. It's his dry British wit sense of humor, of course.
I pull out my plasma. I'm kidding.
I brook no insult. Fuck you, Seneschal. Retire this.
You do need to be careful.
Is deceased. It
You
is
can-
an ex-parrot.
You do need to be careful about having people make jests at my expense if you don't want me to start rolling willpower again.
Well, this wasn't really a joke at your expense. It was more at his expense.
No, he just implied I wasn't in charge of my own ship.
Not at all. Not at all. No, I hear you. I'm fucking with you. At any rate, Lord Captain, unless there's anything else, I'm sure there is a mountain of paperwork I need to dive through.
Very well. I
He
will.
Go ahead.
And I say Seneschal.
Yes.
I do believe I will go and speak with the senior staff myself. Any others that I overlook, feel free to arrange appointments for me.
Indeed. Indeed. Before I go, your first officer. Do you have any suggestions for that?
Well, as you've said, you are quite busy, and this is my ship, so I thought that it might go to someone else.
Very well. Let me see what first officer actually does.
He's second in command below me.
Well, no, I know that. I wanted to see what the actual write-up says. Filled by any character.
It's not much.
Oh, it's more of a narrative position than it is an actual mechanic.
Right, in charge when I'm not around.
Oh, here's the benefit. Yeah, +5 on command tests made aboard. If the first officer has the command skill. Okay. All right. The floor is yours. If you want to do the ship rolls thing now, we can do that. I
Son of a
will
gun.
ask again, just because I'm going to be alt-tabbing all over the place and help figuring out who's doing what and whatnot. If somebody could take some notes for me.
I will. I imagine Rodance will as well, but we don't have to ask for that.
I'm not taking notes this time around. I already take them for yesterday's session stuff.
We didn't
Okay.
have a session yesterday.
And
What notes were there? Sorry, I'm messing with you, Ro. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
yeah, I literally had a game yesterday morning
No,
where
I know.
40K was introduced as the hellscape that we were going into. So we were in World War II trenches about to be kicked in the face by a Grey Knight. Well, you know,
Oh,
Game-
corn
are you
demons marched over the field. It was unpleasant.
What game are you playing in this daytime?
Mage the Ascension.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, we went to hell, and apparently hell is World War II trenches with 40K demons and Grey Knights.
And that actually kind of makes a lot of sense to me, to be honest.
Well, there are Grey Knights who've chosen to live in the warp, so
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm just gonna start at rank 2.
Tiny man.
Obviously, rank 1 is the Lord Captain himself. Rank 2 has a couple positions. The first one is the first officer.
Rather than going to the list,
yes.
what if we just go down the list of players and see what positions they'd like to have? Because narratively, I would be going
Yeah.
not only to speak with them individually, we could also role play a bit, because my character also would be interested in finding out their interests in terms of, like, not to make a joke, but where do you see yourself in 5 years? What
Yeah. No, that makes
other than
sense.
faithfully serving me and the Emperor, which is what you should want, is there
Which
anything else
is
you
the
want?
answer we expect you to give me.
Is there anything else you want along with that? It's kind of what I'm going to be going around and asking.
Okay.
I mean, I'm pretty sure with someone, I already have the answer that it's money.
Well, that's
As far as-
Reinhardt's motivation, yes.
But as far as everyone else, I don't know.
Excuse me. All right. Well, in that case, I will allow you to execute this as you desire, and I'll try not to get in the way.
Okay. I was about to say, let's see who's in what order on Discord, but we're not on Discord.
We're in Zoomies.
Well, I guess Jace would be first on my list.
Hi.
Just in order of going left to right here on my my screen here. So I would go to your character, and where would I possibly find them if I inquired for their whereabouts on the ship?
Where I'm always at when we're in the warp.
The bridge.
At
Or
the
is Boom
pilot
crying?
seat.
Sorry.
In the pilot seat.
Well, with rare exception, there's not too much piloting to be done mid-warp.
It depends on what the navigator says. Hey, dodge that psychic bullshit there. Hey, dodge
Well,
that
the
demon there.
navigator could set hard right, but that's pretty infrequent and often causes damage to the ship when you make turning in the warp.
Yeah, but I would imagine at the very least the Void Master would at least be present on the bridge or near the bridge in case he was needed for something like that. At least while he's awake
Yeah,
or during
I'd
duty
be on
hours.
the bridge at the very least.
I just forgot the term for a small office and quarters that you have on naval vessels.
A day room or a cabin?
Bridge?
Wait,
No, there's a.
Go ahead.
It's often it's essentially a combined office and sleeping quarters for senior officers, and I just forgot that there's a term for it. It's gonna bug me anyway. I was saying,
sounds right.
What's that?
Cabin sounds right.
It's more than just a cabin.
Yeah,
But anyway, I digress.
Yeah.
Omar wouldn't know he got a cot, not a cabin. So
He's not wrong. I'm trying to think of it, but my naval knowledge is very limited.
But anyway, that wasn't meant to be an insult. It was meant to be you were in the wrong part of the service to regularly get that term.
No, you're right.
I just want to make sure it wasn't taken as a slight.
No, it wasn't.
Okay. But so I would seek out your character, and so I find you on the bridge, I assume.
Yep.
Excuse me, but do you have a moment to speak? Privately,
Of course,
preferably.
Captain.
Are your quarters nearby, or would you prefer to go to my office?
Your office would be fine.
Okay, so we go to my office. I have him sit in the hard chair. Or let's have a nice comfortable chair. Actually, just for signaling purposes, I want a comfortable chair. I want an obscenely uncomfortable chair, and I want a couch.
For some reason, nobody sits in the Iron Throne replica chair.
No, I direct people where to sit. I'm saying, please have a seat, and I gesture at a chair.
Nice.
Not even a chair. It's just a stool, but it's so low it kills your knees.
Well, no, I'm picturing something that has bumps in all the wrong places to be extremely comfortable to sit in.
Yeah. Works too.
It's designed for your uncomfort. I got it from a Dark Eldar.
Meanwhile, there's a Dark Eldar that's just sitting there going, ooh, somebody's using the chair. This will be good.
No, the chair blinks. Anyway, no, I probably wouldn't go that far down the.
That would be,
path.
yeah. That would definitely be not cool.
Anyway, so I gesture to the comfortable chair and ask you to have a seat. Please sit.
I
Remind
take a
me.
seat.
Remind me, how long did you serve with my mother?
Ah, you want me to think that far back?
I think when we talked in your background thingy, it would have been somewhere in the neighborhood of a year or two, I think. Does that sound right?
I had the impression it was longer than that, but okay.
Yeah, I mean, a few years. A handful of years.
At least 3 years, my Lord Captain.
So tell me, were you serving in your current position when she received... Were you going to say something? Sorry.
No, go ahead.
When she received her troubling portents that foretold her demise? Would he have been with her? Like, I don't know how far back it was. So this is a question for the GM to answer and then the character to say.
I'm actually.
You zoned out and were looking at other things, weren't you?
No, I was listening. I
I'm
was
kidding. I'm
literally
kidding.
in the process of opening up my notes from that particular episode so I can see what I have in here for that video that she left behind. I don't think she actually had.
You
Or
said
maybe she
something
did.
about.
I'm trying to
You
remember.
you said something about some sort of fortune teller, blah blah blah. And so I'm trying to find out if he was there for that visit to the fortune teller and her knowledge of her possible grim fate.
Right. I'm looking.
Because I wish to track down the location, and I probably would have told the Seneschal this at some point. I wish to track down the location of said fortune teller.
Where is that video?
There are some potential ones my character would know of on Footfall.
Is it not in this episode, Brett? It seems really unlikely.
We'll make something up and we'll call it canon from now on. I don't care.
No, I have it. I just either I'm scrolling too far or I'm not. Hang on. I'm almost. If I here we go. Let's see, my child. Should you receive this, then it means my suspicions were right and the foretelling of my fall accurate to some degree, I suppose. So I guess there was some sort of foretelling, but she didn't clarify. Well, let's see. On the morrow we depart Regius for Vindemar, and if my misgivings and fortune are true, then it is likely Vindemar is my final destination. So she, based on that information, she must have gone to some sort of fortune teller of some kind. I clearly didn't put in my notes very well, because otherwise I should have remembered this.
Well, it might have been Regius, but like I said, Footfall is a common rogue trader stopover.
Well, I will say it would have been Regius, because that's where she was departing from. And she wouldn't have left her domain often or for very long if she could help it. For obvious reasons.
Yes, I was in my current position, yes.
And are you aware from whom she received her ill tidings?
I don't know. Am I?
I think she would have kept a lot of that stuff to herself. She might have said something to Thale. But certainly not to someone in the like your, I want to say generic bridge officer, but certainly not to even the senior bridge officer unless it was absolutely necessary.
Do you think if I pressed him, he would tell her out?
I really want to just ignore that, but I have to answer it because it's a question for roleplay purposes. So, no.
So even though she's dead and I'm her avenger, he wouldn't betray her then confidence to tell me.
Are you talking about Thale or are you talking about Jace?
I'm talking about Thale. I specifically
Oh,
hinted at
my
that by
bad.
saying to Thale her out.
I thought you meant Jace because I had mentioned Thale. I digress. You would have to talk to Thale about that.
Okay.
No, I
Wing
think
more
the
shit.
only person she confided in much was Thale.
In the background, Thale pokes his head up over a computer monitor or something, and he says, "It's Mr. Thale to you, Master Sebastian," and then drops his head back down. I'm being sarcastic. Don't listen to me.
By the way, side note: if we have thinking of officer roles, if we have a high factorial aboard the ship, we should be able to make acquisition rolls while on the jump. Anyway, bye. Back to character. So,
Attack. Don't mind my kid.
sorry. What is your character's full title and name? I just want to make sure I address your character properly. Are you Master Helmsman, Void Master? Yes. What title are you going by currently?
Currently, I'm going by Voidmaster Jace Sebastian von Anko.
So the proper title would be Voidmaster von Unco.
Correct.
All right, just getting it straight in my head. You said von Unco, correct? Is that like Unco?
I'm typing it in TTS chat right now.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you over Omar. He was being loud.
ANKO.
Unco, okay. All right. Well, Voidmaster von Unco, I do have a few questions.
Out of character, you would know that I come from a family that has served here for generations.
Okay. So
Wait a minute, is that right, GM?
Your character definitely went to that quasi academy that the Van Breezes were putting together to bring more Voidmaster type people into the Void.
Okay, ignore what I just said then.
I was gonna say it seems strange that a noble house would be perpetually serving another. So I would ask, your family, are they in this sector of the galaxy? Whereabouts is their domain?
Well, that's awkward. I, out of character, don't know.
I had my headset off. Did I miss something again?
I asked him where his family's domain was.
What
Do
type
you
of...
remember which planet it was?
No. Things.
Can we put a pin in that?
Yeah.
Discuss it later. We'll pretend like he gave a salient answer as to where they were.
Yeah.
And then we'll reserve my response as to if they're in this sector, leverage, blah 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 blah, whatever possibly. If they're out of this sector,
on the lexicon.
You probably heard me typing, but I'm definitely looking there now.
My next question would be, what role are you in the house? Are you a scion of the house, or are you an heir sowing your oats?
I was a scion and heir, but I am no longer. I fell out of favor and went to the academy that your house has been supporting, and your mother picked me up from there when I graduated.
What do you see for your future? Do you wish to be restored to that disinheritance? Or do you have other goals in mind?
I'm kind of going with the flow for right now. It would be nice to eventually get my inheritance back. But it is not a high priority.
Perhaps then, Voidmaster, we can establish a new series of inheritances for you and your kin. Should you wish to have any.
That would be acceptable as well.
Is there any concerns or questions or any tasks that I could render my assistance and resources towards?
Um, honestly, I believe, Lord Captain, that we have plenty on our plate right now with the current tasks.
Certainly. But knowing your goals and ambitions and desires helps me understand my crew better.
Hmm.
And even if it's not something we can address immediately, knowing that it's something you want addressed is of interest to me.
Vervunhive is the planet that.
Vervenhive is the hive city. House Sondar was the rulers of the city. You guys are subservient to them along with a few others. Vergast is the name of the planet you're from. I didn't even look to see where Vergast was, like what segmentum or whatever.
Oh yes, Vergas. So I would say the city of Vervunhive on Vergas
Oh,
is where my imperial house rules.
Segmentum Pacificus, literally the other side of the galaxy.
Hmm.
Well, one quadrant, like a quarter of the galaxy away. I know I'm interrupting. I apologize.
that's fine.
Anyway, so back to what we were saying. Well, that is a difficult question, my Lord Captain.
Well, should you ever come up with an answer, I'm always available to listen, provided we're not in the middle of something.
Very well. In the middle of the next combat, I will bring it up.
Try not to. Have a good day, Voidmaster.
You as well, my Lord Captain.
All right, who's next? Who's next that I have to provide jump through my ass answers for?
Yeah. All right. I suppose my next visit would be I'm tracking down the the artisan formerly known as Winter. Whereabouts would I find you, Rodouts?
The artist formerly known as Winter.
My apologies.
Well, she probably is, she probably has some power over the, choir on the ship, so during, like, the workday, she would be supervising them. So you'd probably find her in that area. Unless you're doing this later in the evening.
I doubt it's later in the evening, given that we're probably going. It's relatively early in the day.
Mm-hmm.
I'll bet
Probably.
with you at something the equivalent of like 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. If that gives you a point in time.
So however long it would have taken me to walk out of my office onto the bridge, see Jace's character and go back into my office, talk to him, and walk back out and find the head of the choir. Now, would your duties be on the bridge largely, or some other underdeck of the ship?
Probably in their own subcompartment, but fairly close to the bridge, because their choir members are delicate people and oftentimes require tubes of life support maintenance. So
yeah, the way I've always understood it is basically the NPCs. There would be I believe the word is
there's
chapel.
very few of them actively capable of walking around like I am, and most of them are too mentally deranged to do so.
Yeah, they're literally wired into the ship in their own astropathic choir chapel or something to that effect.
Yeah, but we'd probably be relatively close to like the heart of the ship or the command center because of the necessary connections that we provide to the rest of the universe.
Now, how close are we to our endpoint of the jump?
Well, you've only been in the warp for about a day so far.
Okay.
We have another like 3 or 4 days, I think, before
Omar,
we
are
get to
you
our
eating
midpoint.
at a time like this?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Anyway, so, is there a does anybody know if there's a term for the room where the choir is contained?
You can just call it a choir. Or, sorry, chapel if you want.
That's someplace else. Anyway,
It's not my first guess. Or,
the
sorry,
choir vault. We'll call it the choir vault.
yeah.
Yeah, because most of them are in tubes of life support nests wired into the ship.
Yep. And guards outside to make sure nobody fucks with them.
Yep. I probably do the paperworky nonsense since I'm one of the few that actually is capable of walking around because my mind was not melted gaining psychic powers. Only my eyes.
Legit.
So I enter the choir vault and I try to get your attention. Winter, do you have a moment?
I invite you into my office.
I'm not sitting in the hard chair, am I?
I mean, they're probably it's probably like
It's deck chairs. It's
napping
deck chairs.
couch. Napping couch is probably the other piece of furniture in here.
Oh my.
These are her quarters. What are you talking about? And that's all it is a napping couch and a desk.
And like the locker with the locky things.
Yeah.
There's very little.
40K,
So-
you don't need a lot.
So how is that locked chest coming?
I forgot about the lock chest.
Poorly.
Poorly.
A splinter from this wooden chest stares up at you longingly, Rev. Sorry, not Rev. Rogadillo.
Yeah, she just lays the remains of the lockpicking tools on the table. That about that good.
Oh, Emperor. That's... Perhaps we shall have to involve...
I recommend a blowtorch.
I have some other ideas. After the conversation, before I head on, I'm voxing someone to come and to pick up the chest and bring it to another location.
Yeah, it's in like the tiny little itty bitty conference room next to my office.
Some sort of not necessarily stateroom. That's the word I was looking for. That's
Yeah.
an office.
There you go.
Some type of conference room that the bridge might use, possibly adjoining my office, is where I'll have the chest taken to. But I'll say I understand a little bit about the process of becoming the position such as yours, and I imagine it's not something you wish to retell or recount. So I'll merely ask, how long have you been in the service of the family?
Couple months. Alterus and I joined about the same time. I would say Alterus' character's name, but I don't remember it all.
Acheron.
Carlos.
Acheron and I joined about the same time.
Very good. Was this before or after my mother's demise?
Concurrent. They were kidnapped or whatever it was and prisoners on a pirate ship or whatever they were. And then once they were freed, they, in various methods, were reassigned to your ship and crew. So they would have been completely oblivious to your mother's demise.
Okay, so they were potentially in the family's service, just not on board this ship.
Yes.
It would be more of they had not yet been assigned to the ship or your family's service.
I mean, replacement arm takes a little bit of time to put on.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a tech priest of sorts wouldn't necessarily be assigned to a household until they requested it. So
right. And he would have been busy trying not to die on a pirate ship. and escaping.
I mean, it only cost a couple arms. It's pretty
So,
mild as far as 40k consequences goes.
so in this conversation about your origins, would your press gang into a pirate crew come up?
I mean, if you asked what I was doing before I joined, since I said I was only here for, you know, the appropriate several months or whatever the
Well, let's
real
say
space
then that I
equivalent
do.
was, then
Oh.
yes.
What sort of service did you perform after you graduated from the Emperor's academies?
I was a telepathica representative in a couple of different ships. It's not those transcendent telepathic transcendent flavors are not very common because we're the ones who tolerate being away from primary space better than the others.
So you're not mentioning the pirate thing.
I do mention the pirate thing.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought you asked about what I did before the pirate thing.
No, I was asking, what did you do after you graduated from the Emperor's service?
Oh, I mean, after I
give you
graduated from the
yeah.
Emperor service, went through
Or
a couple
rather-
of ships. Ship was damaged. We got captured by pirates, spent some time press gang by said pirate collective, and eventually got freed by a ship in your house's space, and decided that working for your house seemed like a good idea. Gave me something to do.
Would you know, is the pirate collective that you were involved with connected to the Casbolica, or were they independent? Rivals, perhaps?
Being a telepathica, they kept me on a very limited information diet.
That's an
They
interesting way to
purposely hid
phrase
them for
that.
me.
And yes, that information was not really.
You can
would've been
read minds!
Ooh, that's a good point.
Sorry.
They have ways of countering psychers.
Bro, I
They're
think
not
you have gotten the
dumb.
impression that they were definitely connected to various criminal elements, but the Casbolica in particular, you don't know for sure. You don't have any definitive information.
Okay. Do you know what this pirate group was called, so that or do you have any particular vendetta against them?
I don't have a particular vendetta. If I'm, see them burnt to the ground and their ashes tossed asunder, I would probably sleep a little better for a night or two, but not pressing to me.
Any particular names I should keep an ear to the ground for? For burning.
I toss in a couple of generic filler NPC names because if it ever does come up, we might as well.
Right.
Insert name blank here from DM.
Yeah, I'm making a note right now that I need to create some bullshit names.
Well, it honestly might never come up. It's just if you want to tie it into your story, Omar.
Yeah.
It's a nice story hook.
In largely unexplored space, we might encounter pirates?
Yeah.
I have knowledge of those. Now. Did some studying.
I have
after
knowledge.
The whole Casbolica thing.
Well, technically, I have knowledge about how to get on their good side.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Look, I did the first way that you lubricate your relations with pirates. I offered money, and he laughed in my face.
And then he did the second way. He shot him in the face.
Yes.
And then offered money again.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, that was like after you break a bar and throw down $20 and say for your trouble.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. It made a point, though.
It did.
It also made them more pliant.
It
Yeah.
seems to have.
Well, I kind of figured if they were too gutless to take double what he was asking for in payment to turn on him, they were too gutless to do anything when I shot him.
Good idea there. But as far as her time being press gang, she'd probably note that she doesn't ever want to repeat the experience, and she doesn't feel like going to jail or surrendering or anything like that. The same way that you brook no insult, I don't tolerate lack of freedom.
Yeah, the prospect of losing your freedom, you have to make it is a willpower test, is it not?
The same way his insult brook no one. It's literally the exact same mechanic, but different triggers.
Yep.
And aside from seeing a potential pirate organization burnt to ash, is there any further aspirations other than service to our glorious emperor that you have in mind for your future?
Yeah. I literally, the motivation of all transcendence is endurance. I giggled about that one.
So how does that?
It's because ascendants are so far. We have to take endurance the same way rogue trader is on the opposite end and have to take just that one motivation.
Right, but how does that translate to your character? Does your character want to become buff? Is your character looking for more cybernetics, more armor?
If I may, one thing to consider: part of the astropath transcendent, part of what sets them apart is their desire to, for lack of a better way to phrase it, basically grow in power, because the lure is there and they're already so far set aside, so much better. I'm so much better than you. I'm going to prove how much better than you I am by becoming more powerful.
So they're, not to put words in your mouth, but to give you some ideas, would you be looking for lore, artifacts, any information regarding the warp or your abilities to help you grow in power? Or is that,
I definitely would be in the information collecting version of helping me build up my position, power, and abilities. I see her as a person dealing with yeah, so endurance by definition is to endure and endure and grow stronger. You welcome opposition, risks, setback, blah blah blah. Their trials are just a way to become powerful under the God Emperor's eyes.
Yep.
I lean in close and I say, and your pursuit of knowledge, does it include the heretical? I don't know if a microphone cut out, but I said the heretical.
Yeah, I heard it. I don't know if you heard my chuckle, but I definitely heard
well,
it.
I just gotta say, the Adeptus Arbites are not particularly happy with me. But I am good at resisting interrogations. She doesn't admit what she did, but she does make some side comments about it.
+1 heresy.
Well,
God Emperor would like to know your location.
The rogue trader
I quite literally soulbound to the Emperor. That
no, I
happen.
know. That's why I'm okay with saying that. Rev, please, I gotta shut up. Go ahead.
Above the table, the rogue trader does have. I'll say it. I'll say it on the table, shall we then? Well, in my current position as holder of a warrant of trade, I have a little more leeway than most in regards to what some might consider taboo. And if I can help you get access to something that would make you more proficient in your duties and service to the Emperor, well, that's not heretical in my book.
So, you know those psyker weapons that we were discussing at a previous occasion, Rev? I feel like those are technically in the might be heresy bucket, but are so awesome still.
The alien one might be, but the others aren't.
Okay,
in fact,
I wasn't sure.
In Inquisitor, anyone highly placed in the Empire with psychic tendencies might be equipped with a force weapon. You'll often see like Space Marine librarians with some type of force weapon.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. But you know,
Dark
we're not
Heresy,
allowed to have Space
the
Marine
Templar
equipment.
Calyx have them.
I'm pretty sure having Space Marine equipment as a non-Space Marine is considered heresy.
Above the table, because it'd be a cool moment, can you just like pull out like a blueprint for a force weapon and slap it down on the table, like out of some?
Oh yes, that is totally what she's doing. Working on this one here. Seems like it'd be great use.
Interesting.
I'm not sure if I've not noticed much else of the crew other than the choir here having much sacred tendencies. We don't talk about the navigators in that respect. They don't have the same type. But for those of a handful of people who do, this will make us more combat effective. And I just tap on the blueprints.
Should we come across something like this, or potentially the components for someone with sufficient tech skill to put them together, then we will do our best to endeavor to fully equip you.
Mechanically, buying it just for myself makes the acquisition check way easier.
Why does buying it? above the table, why would buying it for someone else rather than say someone else buying
Well,
it for
it's
you?
the scale of one person.
It's the
a
scale.
plus
Yeah.
If
30.
you're only buying one versus buying a squad worth versus
Right,
buying an entire
but-
army worth.
But to clarify, let's say hypothetically my character was to make the roll, and then give it to
It doesn't
them.
make a difference who makes the roll. It's the fact that you only are getting one, is what I meant.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that was my point. Is that in theory.
Yeah.
Anyway, another character could acquire it if need be.
Well, yeah, it's part of
Mhm.
your acquisition roll.
And also in theory, whenever y'all make an acquisition roll, you're making it with my money.
It's profit factor. It's not money.
Profit factors money.
I think. Listen, I'm gonna keep making smart ass
Abstracted
comments.
money.
It's actually, what do they call it? It's like Bitcoin. It's
Do not
really
call it
real.
non-fungible.
I couldn't think of the word.
Non-fungible makes absolutely no sense except in the
Right.
rare case of particular security systems regarding software, as some form of financial vehicle is absolutely pointless.
Punches your token.
And also, profit factor is not non-fungible. It is entirely
Yeah,
fungible.
it is pure
gonna-
fungibility.
It is piles of gelt. Piles of
Listen,
gelt so big that rather than list the
listen,
piles of
let's
gelt,
get
they
back
use
on track because we're gonna talk about this all night otherwise, and I'm just gonna sit here and
Anywho's.
keep making smart ass comments like the ones I've already made in TTS
Okay.
chat.
All right. So,
We discuss armaments for a little bit, but yeah.
is there any other services or desires that I could assist you with? I find that loyal crew are happy crew.
Not at the moment, but she is working on the whole improving the body to improve the abilities thing. So she only has two arms right now that have been replaced. She does have most of the rest of the body to go.
Okay, well, if she mentions bodily improvements, I would say, are cybernetic eyes something on your list, or do you prefer your current condition in that regard?
I think the current condition is more useful. It would just be distracting to have the old visual inputs again,
Very well.
because she sees without the light spectrum.
Right.
So
I
Sees
just-
without sight.
quite literally, it's on the sheet and everything.
Yep.
A blink is rapidly
And it's nothing but
approaching location.
greedy wisps of smoke around Rev in the warp. Or not in the warp, but you know what I mean.
I'm pretty sure Rev is more than a pile of greed for coin, but
Well, there's also a fair bit of. Oh God, never mind. Please continue. Please continue.
I can think of some terms.
It's not. Foppish was the first
Psychopathy,
one.
narcissism.
Yeah, foppishness.
Bro, does that mean like a psychic blank you couldn't see at all? Or would that
yes,
be like
I
a negative phase?
specifically, I am incapable of seeing nulls.
Okay.
So it changes it changes some of the thing. I'm effectively the same function as a person with standard eyes mechanically. The difference is I cannot see nulls and the people covered under a null aura. There's a
Okay.
particular name for it. I just call it null.
Would you discuss any of that?
I mean, yeah, I would point it
We're
out if you
talking-
didn't know.
Okay. Well, then I would say perhaps.
Also, don't they make you uncomfortable?
Yes.
Just
by
Well,
being
nulls
around.
make everybody uncomfortable.
Yeah,
Like,
but
across the board.
psychers particularly.
Yes, psychers in. So with normal non-psychers, it's a general not disease, but unease, like on
Or
a
dislike.
subconscious level, and you just have this naturally inherent. I really don't like that guy feel, but psychers are like, I fucking hate that guy. Get him the fuck away from me.
No.
Not
It
quite that
can be
violent, but-
pushed past though, because both
Yeah.
Eisenhorn and Ravner develop a relationship with Beckwin.
Sure. It's not quite as violent as I just described it, but it's far more tangible against or with a psyker than it is with others.
Isn't it more like a screaming in your mind's eye?
No,
It's an
It's-
utter blank.
it's
of,
like being cut off from.
Well, I know, and maybe I'm with blanks. I know they can make other psychic, like, for example, if someone is tuned correctly with their blankness, they can literally make an Eldar want to shoot themselves in the face.
I don't
not
know
the other person.
what I
They're
know about
NPC
nulls.
mechanics for the most part. That's not something we'll ever see in a player character.
Yeah.
Okay.
When it comes to nulls, what it is, they do have an aura. Probably, I think it's only like a few feet around
It
them.
depends on their rating.
Yeah.
The
there
same
are
way psychers have ratings, I'm
There are
assuming.
blanks out there that when they're in the presence of a psyker, the psyker wants to tear their face off to make it stop.
Yeah.
Well, that's because they've been like conditioned or trained or what have you. Your generic null, who usually they don't even know they're nulls.
Yeah,
They
well,
will have.
as with everything, there are various levels of intensity to things.
Indeed.
And if
Right.
you're sensitive to those things, those various level of intensities are run through that multiplier.
Yes.
For instance, I am not terribly sensitive to sweet. I could eat a gallon of sugar and not think anything of it, but bitter, I can taste just the smallest little
Coffee.
bits of
Black
bitter.
coffee.
I cannot drink it.
Like
Yeah, it's
yeah. Wow.
pretty bad.
Wow. Okay.
It's the
And
null.
I have the
anything
same-
with any
I don't-
kind of coffee I can't drink.
Alterios, do you drink coffee?
Yeah.
I love coffee.
Oh. I thought for a minute, aside from GM, we might have found a room full of people that don't drink coffee.
I drink coffee.
I drink coffee.
I thought you said you don't like the bitterness. I'm sorry, Ro.
I mean, I
You
drink
put-
sugar coffee.
I put creamer in mine. I don't drink it black. I can have, but don't
I won't.
by choice.
Anyway,
Yes. Back on track.
so I mentioned the possibility. Well, let me get back into character. If there are individuals you were incapable of seeing, perhaps the annoyance of some type of cybernetic vision would be paid back in the event we encounter such an individual. You would at least be able to see the danger.
Something to consider.
And above the table, just saying, if there's a blank and we don't know they're a blank, and you can't see them at all, it might not register with you they're a blank unless you can see them on some other level.
It would
Yeah.
be one of those like you would know something's wrong simply because there's something wrong in that particular part of the room or
Yeah,
whatever.
just because you can hide yourself from sensors doesn't mean you're hidden. It just means you've made a giant void there in the middle of the sensors.
Which itself is
Notable.
Telling.
no, it's not necessarily detectable, but the fact that there's nothing there is questionable. You're like, wait a minute, why is there nothing rendering there?
Frankly, nulls shouldn't have as much of an impact on anyone else. It's if I'm trying to do psyker stuff, or if we're trying to communicate with the wider web, or if we're trying to navigate, well, does it become a problem?
Correct.
Understood, but if we encounter null,
Alterios, push the red button.
I know. I'm just
You just
picking
wanna-
around.
Okay. I know I interrupted. Please continue.
if we encounter a null, they're rare enough that they're not there on accident. That's not a coincidence. So please, if you sense that void, let me know at the earliest capable. I do have one last question before we go.
Mm-hmm.
We were in a firefight in the station.
Mhm.
And you were there.
Mm-hmm.
And you did two things that I noted. You approached the enemy without engaging, and you didn't call for the backup. Is there some reason why you didn't immediately call for the sergeant and his men?
You had already called for them.
No, I hadn't.
Mm.
Okay.
I thought I did, but
This is where you counter with, weren't you crippled by fear? I'm joking. I gotta shut up better. I'm sorry, guys.
yeah. She was just seeking cover. She happened to be standing closer to that piece of cover. And I mean, you guys did kind of put them down pretty quick.
It is a sensible thing to do.
Especially if you're not.
Understood. Well, I wanted her answer, okay? I don't necessarily have suspicions. I just
What I'm
wanted her
hearing
answer.
is,
All I know is she's the person in charge of calling for reinforcements, and the reinforcements didn't come until we called them after that.
what I'm hearing is, I didn't want your guys' answers. I
Well,
wanted her answer.
We were all in the mental link together, so I'm assuming the first person
Yeah.
somebody had already called him.
Yeah.
Like I literally linked
And-
every PC plus the sergeant.
Guys, it's a party line. Someone should have done it.
Well,
Yeah.
that and the flip side of that too is the call had gone out. It just things were all done and over with so fast that the other guys didn't even really get a chance to get on the board.
I thought
In
I didn't.
literal
I
sense.
thought I didn't communicate with the sergeant and his squad until the foes were fleeing. But just so
Yeah.
above table, so I can understand something better. Are you saying that I can mentally communicate with my squad as long as you're nearby and we're linked?
Yeah,
You can mentally communicate with anybody that is linked as well.
as part of the
Although,
network.
in that particular moment in that firefight, you were crippled by fear and were not capable of coherent thought, as I recall.
That's
As
how
I recall.
I actually was approaching the psyker, but somebody got her before I did. So yeah,
To be fair, I did shoot people in combat after I threw up.
Perhaps.
I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. I'm gonna throw up, and then I'm gonna die.
Die, motherfucker, Ralph. Die, motherfucker,
Okay.
Ralph. Sorry. Ay, man, I
that's
am.
pretty much how it goes. It's 40k with psychers, man.
So
You're
no,
lucky we're lucky she didn't melt any of our brains, frankly.
I
Or
wanted the
control
answer
of
to
us.
that, and so my character may not have been aware that they could communicate psychically. They thought that because remember, I didn't communicate psychically. I used the Vox to say.
Mhm.
Where they were
I
fleeing
kind
to.
of go grab a random crew member, who also had my office, and make them come here. Tap, tap, and then mentally I go, and then talk in their heads real quick to make a point, and then I make the crew member go jog around the block.
Ooh,
You
hold
can
on.
still hear them.
So, when you say that you make the crew member go jog a mile or whatever you just said,
Just go run a quick errand and come
are
back.
you just like telling him, hey, just to prove a point, can you go run a mile real quick? Or are you mentally compelling him?
I'm just saying, hey, go deliver this letter and tell us telepathically when you're done.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
Because
That
it's someplace
the
relatively
mind link,
close.
the mind link, I'd be like, fuck it, mind link. I'm not gonna roll
No,
for it. But this one,
controlling and mind
that
controlling
one.
people is a multi-level step that I have to buy through several powers to get to.
Okay.
But I can if I wanted to.
Okay.
Eventually.
Eventually.
Yeah.
Well then,
Well, I literally, the two ones I took was you can talk in other people's heads, you can reach farther, and reduce the fear of being pinned down by a gunfire thing.
Yeah.
So
Pinning.
Yeah. I don't
One of
remember
those
the
two
exact wording of the thing that it counters now.
well then,
It's
Winter,
an unpleasant condition, though.
It is pinning.
Yeah.
Pinning is the condition.
Yeah, I took
Nerves of
the
Steel is a
Inspire.
talent that gives that. I believe I and the Void Master both have Nerves of Steel.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
took Inspire, which is the aura around me that reduces pinning. It makes it easier to get out of it.
Woot woot.
All right, Broken
I mean,
Dio,
it's a
who you gonna
D100%.
go see next?
well then, Winter, thank you for your time. I send the communication to the crew to move the chest, and then I will pay a visit. Don't have my Zoom up. I will pay a visit to Icarus.
Down in the Enginarium.
And actually leave that to him where he's going to be.
I'm
in the
probably gonna
late
be
afternoon.
somewhere in the ship working. You'll see both Archimedes and Pythagoras just working on things as I'm looking at a data slate. Kind of zoned out. You'd probably have to get his attention.
Icarus, not to interrupt your important work on the ship, but may I have a moment of your time?
I guess.
Is this someplace private? Like, are there other ears around?
Above table, no, there are not. He likes to find secluded spaces in the ship to work.
Well, Icarus, I've heard something of your history, I'm assuming, from Winter, but I wish to meet with you personally and get to know my crew a little better. How long have you been in service to this family?
About the same time as Winter. I think it was about under a
Well,
year.
You're
A
gonna
couple
give me.
months
You're
at the
gonna.
most.
You're gonna
Yeah.
give me a time down to the second.
Yes, you actually would. You and your explorator brain and implants.
Cogitator.
Yes. It would be something to the effect of 1 month, 3 weeks, 4 days, 16 hours, 27 minutes, and 9 seconds, 10 seconds, 11 seconds.
He would just state it in seconds.
Yeah, or that, yeah. And then convert it to the original way I said it as a matter of convenience.
Sorry for speaking.
Anywho,
Sorry for speaking for your character, Alturius.
No, that's fine. I don't think like a TA-86. I'm sorry.
Oops, that's all I got.
That's all you used it for, anyway. Yes. Well, is there anything that I can, any service that you wish for, anything that I can help you procure, or something you wish to attain in the foreseeable future? Be it status or position, or items.
Yeah, for the most part, it makes the world go round, and can usually buy the things that you do not have.
Yes, yes. Is there any interest you have in regards to the Mechanicum or types of technology I should be on the lookout for?
In order to do my job better, I'll probably need some mechadendrites. I was not given any by the Mechanicus. I am somewhat of a loose cannon, free thinker. I do not like being put in chains and shackles.
In what way did the Mechanicus find you a loose cannon?
I will, if it regards my own freedom, disregard the feelings of machine spirits. To get off our last escapade, me and Winter, the ship ran afoul of orcs, ironically. I may have convinced the machine spirit to move the ship too close, and in the ensuing chaos, got me and Winter off, though not without her loss of an arm.
Above table, did you take those other things that we talked about, or were you just going to say, oh, well, I missed it?
Other things?
Yeah.
Those. I'll just say I missed it because I didn't even read that, and going back and then just being like, oh, by the way.
I think you should, man. Like, can I explain to Omar real quick?
Please.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, in the special traits, it's a whole separate page from the character creation halfway through the book. There's an element of his character creation that he didn't see.
Okay.
And that's that he gets 2 additional implants, as well as the Mechanicus implants. So he obviously, I think he took the Mechanicus implants that he automatically gets, but he felt like it would be an imposition and unfair if he then went and took the 2 free implants he's supposed to get as part of his character creation that's listed separately. I can send you the
Yeah,
give me
DM me the page number so I can look at it later. I think I know what you're talking about, but I'd have to read it and piece things together.
I felt like he should be able to take the 2 implants, but
there's also the option too, just narratively speaking, that even though the option is there, that he can choose to be like, yeah, I'll just deal with it later, or we can chalk it up as part of what quote unquote had to be sacrificed in order to get away from being kidnapped or price ganked.
Well,
or whatever.
He thought it would be unfair, but I didn't want. I was kind of bringing it to the group's attention because I don't think it's unfair, and I think you should get to home.
I agree.
I'll leave that to Omar once he reads the thing.
Oh, you'll probably get it because I'm a softie. No, I'm not. You're not getting shit. There,
Please,
you got
Omar,
both
we
ends
know-
of the spectrum. We'll see what happens.
We know that you're spawning a demon for us to fight here in a minute.
Should be page 73 of the PDF.
I have a image copy pasted. I'm just trying to.
It's the same place where I get my basic.
Hark over yonder,
I have
bloodthirst
enough
chapel.
tabs open. I have enough tabs. It's on the same page as my you can give a commander. You can give
is that
somebody a bonus.
each class's special abilities
Yes.
or whatever?
Yes.
Yes, it's special abilities.
All right,
Page
yeah.
72, 73 of the PDF.
Explorator implants. The Explorator begins play with the Mechanicus implants trait and may select up to 2 additional common craftsmanship bionic implants. So yes, if you want to choose 2 additional bionic implants, you get common for free, but you have to spend 200 of the base 500 that you have gotten for character creation to increase the craftsmanship 1 level.
I'll find two commons to use then.
Okay.
I'm gonna push further for you, man, and say, if he has any XP to spare up to 500, can he spend some of that now, since he was unaware of that then?
That's retroactive. Nah.
I'll leave it as it stands. And then if he wants to
Okay.
increase it later, he can expend more XP as he accumulates it.
All right.
I give with one hand and I slap with the other. So choose your battles carefully, my friends.
So
the GM giveth, and the GM say, "No, I don't think so."
and the GM
Exactly.
the GM gets angry and stingy.
And more random than an RNG.
Apparently.
What a capricious nature.
Yeah, indeed.
Has
The Medicae McDendrite gives you +10 to Medicae.
Mhm.
Reduces the difficulty of amputating a limb, and gives you a +10 bonus to interrogation tests.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm gonna start acquiring
Ew.
this.
That's amazing.
I think you were also considering the utility and the I just forgot the other what's the other mechadendrite?
Manipulator. I think is what
Manipulator,
it's
yeah.
called.
Anyway,
Yes, back on track. I feel like I'm herding cats here.
you're the biggest cat here. Come on now, you've interrupted more times.
I absolutely have. I'm not gonna lie. I am the worst perpetrator here.
So, just for the sake of narrative brevity, then, I ask you similar questions to the others. Is there anything you wish to tell us about your history or your character's interests going forward, or something that the Lord Captain could help you with?
My character would mention again that I will not
Any
be
pirates you want dead?
stapled down anywhere. I would also give a few similar names to that Rodance did. There would be some different ones because we weren't on the same spots, but
A little bit of overlap in
Yeah.
a group name that they all shared that the GM will one day put together for you.
Understood.
and then
The Red Weavers. No, that's not what we're going with. That was just the first thing that came to mind. That's not cool enough.
I guess a declaration that if we ever get someplace where I can get more servo skulls, they will be acquired sooner or later.
You have if we have to leave behind a servo skull, do you need to pass a willpower check?
That'd be hilarious.
By the end
Which-
of the
and
campaign,
then
he's
not only
followed
you-
by a literal flock.
And then not only do you need to make that willpower check, you have to choose which of your sons you must sacrifice.
Pretty
no.
sure we have somebody who does a great example of that.
What?
All of the Emperor's children.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
I was more making a reference to if we find one in a store or somewhere else and he's like, I want that, and we're like,
Oh.
no, we no, you have servo skulls at home.
All right, I think we have one last interaction here.
Mhm.
Unless you're gonna go and talk to
Any-
Anastasia or Marcellus.
well, obviously, I'm going to talk to the senior officers. How long do you want me to have a conversation with you, or do you just narratively want to push through that?
Oh,
You don't get to roleplay armor. You're the GM.
Oh, for me? With
Yeah.
which one?
Yes.
Uh,
Bring me all 30 of the ship's senior officers that will be inhabiting all of the roles, Omar.
okay. We could just hand
And tell
wave.
me all of their wants, desires, and histories.
No.
Please, let's go
what
through
I
them
will do
individually.
when I eventually get around to making
require
your
the family
dramatist,
genealogies.
once I
I
finally
also,
get
I also want to know their genealogies to the 5th person.
oh, Jesus Christ. How many generations back would you like?
5th.
It'll be AI generated, every fucking bit of it. And it'll be a single
turns out they're all
pass, so it's going to make
goddamn
no
inbred.
sense.
Actually, above the table, I would like to mention that he might want to have a chat with Marcellus Thale,
Who has a chat with Thale?
the Lord Captain.
Oh,
Thought they already had a chat
they had a
about
chat.
Thale
They could,
becoming the
I mean,
governor.
Thale can have all. Listen, Thale's job is basically to chat with people.
Yeah, I thought Thale was pretty clear that his interest was he wants to become governor.
By the
Well, I
way,
mean-
where is this?
When you had
Where
the
is
chat
that?
with me, but when you had the chat with me, I mentioned that the only person your mother
Ah,
confided
yes.
in was
Probably.
Thale.
Yeah. Also, Anastasia will want to chat with you, but it's not terribly urgent, and also she's quite busy right now. So, any attempts to contact her specifically will be met with a "not right now" response.
Where is Regius? Is it on the far side of the mall, or is it back towards
Regius is in
Space?
the Koronus Expanse. It does not exist on this map. It's a system, one of several that I have created for this campaign.
Oh, okay.
Well, that explains why I can't find it.
Yes. So, in short, about
Secret
here
world.
is where the domain is.
I don't have
roughly.
the right. Didn't have tabletop open. Could you ping that again?
Let's see. Somewhere in this area.
Okay, you're
Off
He's-
map. Okay.
you're
That's
pinging
the
off
point.
map.
That's literally like if the map were to be
Below the
extended.
direction we're going.
Yeah, if the map were to be extended, that would be the rough direction of where it is.
Oh,
Maybe not necessarily the accurate distance, but also in the warp distances.
I was looking at the map
nebulous.
upside down. So
Past Rain, Magaros, Repton.
Yep, down quote unquote south of the Foundling Worlds.
so sort of on the direction of where we're headed.
Past where we're headed.
No,
Yeah.
I mean like that's what I meant. Like where we're headed is on the direction to where we need to go.
Happily, it's on the way.
So, Warner, where would I find your character?
You would find me overseeing the setting up of the ready room by the airlock that we discussed beforehand.
Would you have a duty station there, or is it simply, is your personal area somewhere else?
I would say my personal quarters would be nearby, but not so close as to unnerve the people who would be at the ready station.
I didn't know
One
if you
deck
might.
out.
I
I'm
didn't know if you might
micromanaging
maintain.
right now, but I want to give them a respectable space at some point.
I micromanage on duty hours. When it's off duty hours, I delegate.
Right. So I guess our first topic would be number of shifts and personal and crew that you wish to allot to this special unit. How many armsmen do you wish to be trained as part of this cadre? I
Yeah.
guess how many shifts do you think per cycle?
Currently, there are, what I'm thinking, 3 8-hour shifts to be attended by 10 individuals apiece. So, a duty officer and then 9 subordinates.
Very good. So approximately 30 personnel that we eventually need to more properly equip for their assigned role.
Yes. Das ist richtig. That is correct.
And as far as beyond equipping them, we'll say narratively, I ask you to tell me a little bit about your history. Do you want to go into that now, or do you want to just say that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I'll give him the brief run through of my history that I gave at the beginning of the campaign. And I'll basically say, so if there are any orcs or daemons, I am relatively sure that you will be wise enough to not want to make dealings with them. But if that should be necessary, I recommend you leave me out of the room, because holding my bile will be near impossible. Also, I know that we are far from the Emperor's truce, but people who explicitly worship chaos also on my list of hatred. So, if you have to deal with some primitives on a world, that's fine. If you have to deal with Xenos, that's fine. But the instance that I note that they are worshipping one of the 4 powers, or that there is any hinky demon stuff involved, I cannot promise that heads will remain attached to bodies.
Well, as the rogue trader, I'm allowed a certain leeway when it comes to non-sanctioned individuals, but I do believe that consorting with chaos would even be beyond my ken.
Yeah, as I said, I thought you would be wise enough to avoid such a thing, but if it were in the situation where it was, shall we say, life or death, and you must, just leave me out of the room.
But, my good sir, should we encounter orcs, would you rather avoid them or have some target practice?
So that depends on how many orcs we are talking about. If we're talking about raiders or orc ship here or there, then a good purging would be great fun. But I want nothing to do with a world that has an infestation. I've seen too many of them in my history.
Should we find a world that maybe be considered infested, and should perchance say we come across a virus bomb in our travels, would you like the 2 of them to meet?
Oh, that would give me great pleasure, sir.
We'll see what we can do. Is there any other concerns or interests? Perhaps.
Yeah, well, the long-term goal is easy. I would like to retire on a world of my own, preferably a pleasure world, living fat and happy, surrounded by beautiful women. But in the short term, polishing mine abilities and having the best tools for the trade would be in my list of more reasonably achievable.
In your retirement, do you want to manage this world, or have someone else do it for you?
Oh, somebody else can do the administrative work. I want to be banging the women and drinking good whiskey.
Well, would a world in my domain. Should I expand it, be acceptable, or would you want it yours in name as well?
Hmm, we might be able to negotiate that based on levels of trust in the future. And I'm not saying that I do not trust you. Just I know how it is with people in authority, and
I've only bought somewhat of your trust yet. I understand.
some people, when they give with, how should we say, more strings attached, and I don't know how to judge you yet. So we'll leave that open to negotiation.
Every world owes its taxes to someone.
Understandable entirely.
For further discussion, then, when such a reality is more in hand.
I very much look forward to the conversation then.
As for now, is there anything that I can be on the lookout for equipment for these fine men that will be assisting us? Do you have a...
Well, it is my opinion that the lasgun is the prince of weaponry. It is simple, it is cheap, it is reliable. And so, at the very least, they should have lasguns. Stubbers, less wonderful. I mean, if you could find something exotic like bolters, then sure, that would be lovely. But, a baseline for now.
So what would the armsmen on board the ship have? I'm assuming las guns?
They have las rifles for now. We can always make acquisition rolls to adjust that.
And flak, I assume.
Yeah, basic las gun or las rifle or whatever the fuck it is, and then I'm gonna say flat carapace. Is that the right term?
Carapace is the step above flak.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, flak. What guard flak or guardsman
Yeah,
flak?
guard flak.
Imperial guardsmen would be wearing flak. That's pretty standard.
Yeah.
Imperial guard.
That's what they.
Unless they're like a Karskin or something higher from Cadia, then they're in flak.
No, these are
Cadia, what's that?
for a couple more hundred years.
Cadia still stands.
For a couple hundred years or so more. Yeah, it still stands.
Oh, so we're not.
No,
We're back in time.
This is the 42nd millennium, or excuse me, 41st millennium. It still stands.
As for the elites, I think that the Hellguns and Carapace would be eventually warranted.
Understood. We shall have to see to their equipment as soon as we can. As soon as needs must.
Yeah. As for myself, I am looking out for, in the future, a Mazor Meltagun or Stormbolter of good quality. One can never have too many tools.
I look
When the situation rears its ugly head where you need one, I wish you had it.
I look down at my chest festooned with pistol belts and say, I quite agree.
Well, we have.
If there's nothing further, I'll let you get back to your duties.
I appreciate it, Lord Captain.
I'm sorry. One of the things that it just occurred to me. One of the things that I should have been asking everyone, and we can go back to the list before we do anything else, is what sort of role do they see themselves in? And I guess we would start with Jace's character.
This is the discussion of the ship roles, right?
Yes, and we can do this out of
Cool.
character because I want to get to the next scene.
Right. That's why.
I don't want to rush, but I definitely want to get to the next scene before we wrap.
So I think the two questions are, and Omar, you can, if your idea about this has changed, but what role do you want to have, and do you want to have a second hat?
All right, so here's what I'm going to do.
For my primary role, and I haven't decided yet if I want a secondary role.
Sorry, but I think and this is up to Omar, but if you're manning the helm of the ship, I'm not sure that you'd have a second hat to wear.
If I had a second hat, it would be out of combat.
That's up to Omar then.
So I think here's what I will do with. See, this is very case specific because if you are at
Well,
the helm,
tell you what.
it's hard to do something else. Well, okay, actually, no, I take that back. So you could still be the master of the helm and not actually at the helm. You're the officer in charge of supervising, issuing the orders for the helm. Captain says turn left. You look to your actual dude on the steering wheel and say turn left, fucker. That would free you up for another position. For instance, I want to say it's Master of Etherics, the sensors guy. Does that make sense to everybody, or am I talking out of my ass when I say all that?
I gotcha.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah.
No,
I would-
want somebody else to be on sensors because that can affect us during combat.
Okay, that's a fair point. For those that weren't able to understand, I don't know if it was me or just him or what, but like,
It was a little garbled.
yeah. But what he was saying is, or at least what I heard and understand is, if he's on the helm and the sensors, and he only gets to choose one, that negates the other one, and that can be a problem in combat.
Right.
Understood.
So
So-
just as a thing, most of these roles are going to be specifically.
Second roll.
Yeah,
Yeah, most of these are going to be specifically in combat.
Yeah. So let's do this. Let's everybody grab their primary role, and then if any others are available that make sense, then we can figure out what we want to do. Otherwise, it'll be the 30 plus 5.
Yeah. Pick your primary role and then submit to Omar if there's a secondary one you'd like and your justification for it. How about that?
Yeah. Yeah,
That way you can handle it out of game.
Yep. I can live with that.
Okay.
A couple of you, us in a couple of roles too, if you're interested in a second, or aren't sure what you want to do. The next person I want to talk to is Rodance. Rodance, what role were you leaning towards?
I think I'm just going to stick with the choir master role because I don't have the skills to support the Vox role right now.
Is the Vox, is that like the actual...
It's the comms
PO or
tech
whatever?
role.
Okay.
It's the master of Vox. It's basically the comms tech role. I don't have the skills to support that. I don't have the cipher or trade language stuff.
Okay.
So I'll just stick with the telepathica choir person.
Who's next?
That would be Alterios.
Chief
I'll do
Engineer?
the
Prime
Engineer
Engineer
Prime.
Prime, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Then Warner, what did you choose? Did you go Master of Ordnance, or did you take the other one that was highly recommended for the arch militant?
I'm still leaning towards Chief Bosun.
Okay.
But I can see the argument for Master of Ordnance for when the shot really needs to be made.
I will point out, unless you're like dead set on the Chief Bosun position as far as like narrative reasons, I will point out that the named NPC is going to have the crew skill +5 for that particular skill roll tests, which kind of negates the necessity for somebody filling the Chief Bosun position or role as far as the game mechanics is concerned. Now, if you want to do it as far as narrative reasons, cool, don't let me step on you. You know what I mean? I think if we go with... I'm sorry, go
for
ahead.
narrative reasons, being the person that they're more afraid of than the enemy does make, the
Makes
corners
sense.
of my mouth turn up in a smile a little bit.
No, you're laughing about it. Be honest.
I like the whole commissar.
Yeah. I'm shooting the enemy because if I don't, he's going to shoot me.
Be inspired, dang it. But I also very much understand that making the shot when it counts matters.
Yes.
So
as far
the
as Master
of Ordnance. Anyway, I can settle into that out of game, and we can get into your.
So
Okay.
which one's gonna be your primary then?
I think he still needs to figure out which one he's going to do. Am I crazy?
Yeah, I need to
Okay.
figure that out. I'm sorry.
No worries.
It's gonna kind of matter because I'm pretty sure we're having ship combat soon.
Like
I
right now.
rather guessed that.
And as he says that, no, I'm just kidding. Is that everybody? I think it's everybody.
Mhm.
Rev, you're playing the Lord Captain. Is there any objections to the Navigator being the? I'm gonna say Navigator Primus. That doesn't sound right, but there's
Being
a
our
role-
head navigator? No, that's a terrible idea.
Yeah, right.
There is a role specifically for the navigator.
Yes, I assume that Anastasia Mercator will be filling that role. And then if you want a high factotum, you can put Thale in there. He will fill that role if you want until he leaves the ship at some undetermined, or more accurately, currently unknown specific time in the future.
I was gonna say, is my mic working?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, just double checking because it made a beep and I was like, oh. Isn't there a role that's specifically Seneschal only? That's not High Factorum?
I'd have to look, and
Or high
that's going
factotum?
to take me a few minutes, possibly.
Don't have that section memorized, Omar?
Come on, I don't have shit memorized. I just happen to randomly remember things. Not always important things or beneficial things.
Fair enough.
First officer.
It's one of the lower ones actually, which I thought was odd for the Seneschal.
Oh, I think I know. Master of
So that-
Whispers.
And that's why I was wondering if
Oh, you know what?
the multiple hats thing.
Yeah, I
Purser.
think.
Is also only available to the Seneschal.
Well, yeah, the Master of Whispers could be anybody. In the no, Seneschal or missionary. Sorry, I'm reading that wrong. I'm also. Would you ship's purser? Is that what you said?
That's the one that I see that says only.
No, he's not. He thinks a little too high of himself to be the ship's purser,
Right.
and he certainly has a data slate that may or may not be filled with a whole variety of things, thus substantiating his claim as Master of Whispers aboard the ship. But that's not come up in conversation yet, so.
Nothing says an NPC can't have two roles.
That's my game. It'll be whatever. No, I'm just kidding. It's our game.
Behold.
Behold, I am judge, jury,
the
and
power
executioner.
of GM.
As far as Thale's concerned, Factotum and or Master of Whispers. But as far as the Master of Whispers, nobody has actually in character said anything about Thale, or anybody for that matter, anything about that role at this point in time.
Well, no, but I'm sort of, as we can say narratively through what I'm doing, I'm essentially making sure that, because I've been trained on how a ship is supposed to be run, and so I'm making sure that all
Yeah.
the key positions, not only have I been trained on how it's to be run, but I've also, though not by my mother, been trained as sort of the duties or what to be expected of a rogue trader and the functioning of their house. Probably through books that she sent me.
Or if not her, then House. What's the other house's name? I can't think of it now. Van Breeze. What?
Gizbath.
Gizbath. Thank you.
So, but regardless, of that, the other noble household would not run things quite the same way as a rogue trading organization.
No, in fact, actually, what you probably would have gotten is a lot of the nobility-based side of things from them, and occasionally updates and, oh, hey, by the way, read this primer on, so, you want to be a rogue trader. You know, sometimes you would have gotten something like that from your mother in a long, indirect sort of way. Are we ready to move on to the next section?
There, depending on what the next section is, there is the chest.
Talk to me on what your expectations are at this moment with this chest.
Well,
Out of character, because I remember the chest. I don't have anything prepped for the chest because my understanding was that when we get to Footfall was when you were going to get another chance to make rolls for it, or am I misremembering what I said previously?
we were going to get a chance to make rolls once we got to the midway point, which I think was some station. It was
The Hermitage.
The Hermitage.
All right, so we're not there just yet. So the chest is still failing as per the most recent set of rolls.
Okay.
On that note, we are in our first 5-day stretch of our 5-day trip in the warp. I don't remember who rolled last when making rolls for the navigator, but I need someone to make a challenging navigation warp test. But this is actually going to be at +10 because of a bonus reason. For some reason, the last time rolls were made, and I don't remember what it was. So, navigation warp 42. I need someone to roll a 52 or under, please, on the D100.
I believe I rolled last time, but I can make it again.
I don't remember who we left off with. I felt like we got like 3 out of the 5 players, but I don't remember who was who.
Does anyone remember not rolling last time?
Also, this won't be the only roll the navigator's making, so don't sweat it if you know, as far as...
I don't really remember if I made a roll or not, so...
So, she has navigation warp 42, and you roll, and with the +10, that takes it up to 52. You missed it by 0 degrees of failure. So, let me see what this book says really quick. This roll is going to affect the duration of the trip. This is 2-4. Okay. Yes, you were about to say something, Rev?
I was going to ask the others, given the nature of the 50-50 of the roll, do I burn a fate point or spend a fate point?
So here's what I am willing to do. The
Or
navigator.
actually,
Go ahead.
How many fate points does the navigator have? Let her spend it.
I was going to point out she has. Once I get to where the fate points are listed, somebody's chewing, by the way. I'm sorry. She has 2 fate points. She may or may not be making a fuck ton of rolls. So, for the purposes of this trip, navigation, or hang on, let me choose my words carefully here. For the purposes of traveling the warp-related rolls that the navigator's making, you may spend a player character's fate point to reroll if necessary. It will not count towards your character's actual stash of fate points for this session. For instance, one of you has 4 fate points. You give up 1 for the navigator. You now have 3 more available for the navigator. Basically, she's got like everybody's fate points for her for navigation purposes. But if you yourself need to make a roll for something, there's an incursion.
You would then have the 1 less.
You would still have your original number of fate points minus whatever, of course, you spent for yourself. Does that make sense? I'm probably bumbling that, but...
So you're saying that she gets all of our fate points, but should we spend a fate point on her, we
Right.
still have our full fate points if something happens to us?
Correct.
Okay, so
Which
it's essentially...
actually may have just totally overpowered her for fate points, but...
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so let's not do it that way. So, yes, so she will have... If you want to spend your fate points on her pool, it will count against your stash for the session. And I need to do it that way only so she doesn't have like 15 fate points and able to re-roll fucking every roll that she has to make. And you guys still have all of your fate points. So basically, as a group, you have to determine who is sacrificing a fate point for this session when fate points need to be spent. I feel like that's a fair trade-off.
Yep.
Darius, I think you were about to say something.
Yeah, who has the most fate points?
I think it's you.
Yeah, it's you. I have 3.
I have 5.
Yep.
Yeah, it's definitely you.
That's going to be... I think it is you, because I don't think anybody else has 4. I think everybody else has 4
I've
or
got
less.
4.
Who's got 4?
That would be Reinhardt. Reinhardt has 4.
Okay.
Alterios, Rodant, sound off. How many fate points y'all got?
I think Rodan's has 3. Or maybe 2.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I have 3, but let me double check.
I have 5.
Oh, I
Ooh.
have 4 total. Sorry.
Icaros
Oh,
has 5
somebody
as
else has
well?
5.
Yeah, I got lucky with my fate roll.
Nice.
Very good.
I lost a fate point on Anastasia for some reason. I don't remember why. At any rate,
Could have been a background thing.
it was. I just don't remember what. All right, so either we're re-rolling or this trip became a little bit longer.
In
That's-
which case, you get to re-roll what's happening to you in the warp.
No,
Well, Rev,
No.
what do you think?
Doesn't that every 5 days? Don't we have to roll again to see how
No.
our warp?
it's
Okay.
so you make the willpower test when you enter the warp, and once you exit the warp, whatever that willpower test result was is done.
Okay. Well, then what's the every 5 days that I'm remembering?
Every 5 days is checking
That's
for
the
a warp
drugs.
encounter, and the other part of that is if the warp encounter is all's well, then you can retest your willpower to negate or remove the problems that you may have picked up on entering the warp.
Wasn't there something about space drugs too? Every
Yes.
Well, we don't have those yet.
But yeah.
But also, if we have a warp encounter, doesn't that trigger something bad for Alturios?
Depending on it's no, it is Alterios. He has to make a willpower. I believe it's a willpower test, or he has to actually start covering. He takes damage, effectively trying to cut off what he believes to be corrupt flesh, because the sign of chaos shows up, or something to that effect.
So let's not extend this.
I don't know. I think extending it by the bare minimum doesn't sound as bad as
This is
possible other things.
I'll be honest. So it was a 5-day journey. It just got bumped to 10.
Okay, so it doubles.
Well, yes, on this particular roll, yes. If you re-roll, that result stands, which could be worse or better.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, it's only going to get slightly better than 5 days. 5 days is the shortest amount of time. Well, I'm sorry. You could still end up with like a day or 2 in the warp, and that'd be the shortest.
As the Lord Captain, can I make a suggestion?
Do it better? Sorry. Go ahead.
No, my suggestion is that one of you, the fivers preferably, spend a fate point to re-roll, and the other spend a fate point to increase it by 10.
Can you do that? Can you do both?
Because
Not
that
on a
takes us-
reroll. Not on a reroll. If you're re-rolling, you have to use the same modifiers that were used on the original roll, which was the plus 10 from whatever bonus she
I
had
think we
earlier.
should be allowed to spend a fate point to
Well,
retroactively.
we've already
increase
got
the
a plus 10 from things undisclosed. Might have been GM already spent a fate point.
That plus 10 was from a roll that she had made earlier in the Let's Go and Dance in the Warp process.
Oh, gotcha.
I don't
Wait,
remember
didn't you-
specifically what it was, but she carries a plus
on.
10 forward.
Well, I'm arguing since that we didn't know we could spend fate points, we should get a chance to spend it on the initial roll.
You can always spend fate points on rolls.
Yeah, I have the thing over here.
Anywho,
So we're wanting a reroll is what we're saying.
Well, if it's 50-50, there's just as equal a chance that we get a terrible roll as a good one.
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm asking, just to be sure.
And I'm asking for opinions above the table before I ask for reroll.
Yeah,
If we should or
my
not.
the
opinion
tension with
is
a knife.
still we failed as little as possible,
yeah.
and I'd rather us, save our fate points for
You'd
other
rather-
possibly worse things.
You'd rather risk the encounter? Understood.
That's what I'm hearing. Is that what we're doing?
Who gets damaged if
I am
they
one
fail their
voice.
willpower?
If there's an encounter and they fail, I believe it's a willpower test. It is our Icaros who takes some damage.
Okay, Icarus, what do you think?
That's a
Okay.
fair question. The amounts of damage were somewhere in the neighborhood of like 1d10 plus 1 for every degree of failure, I believe. I'd have to go look back at the specific text, but it was along that line. And it ignores armor and toughness. It goes straight to your damage, or straight to your hit points, or whatever the fuck.
Wounds.
Wounds, thank you.
Wounds.
So, however many wounds you have, keep in mind, you could be losing something like 15 wounds and still have another warp encounter to deal with.
I'd be fine. I'd be dead then.
Okay. It stands as is.
Okay.
We now have a longer stretch. So, roll once. Well, actually, this is going to be 2 rolls on the warp travel encounters, and then you guys will choose collectively which one you want to deal with. So let me get to that. What you call it?
All right,
first?
all right, Altarius. Go ahead and give us a roll for an encounter.
Don't forget to spend your fate point first.
No,
Wait. This is a table.
this is just a straight 1d100.
Oh,
So, option 1 is a 100.
holy balls!
100. Temporal hole, which is a physical encounter, or make somebody make a second roll. It could be Ikaros or somebody else.
For what?
Here, I just did it.
71.
70.
Wonderful.
Is it? Oh, it's 70. That does make a difference. Or a warp storm, also a physical encounter. So, as far as avoiding this encounter, they are both physicals, meaning that the navigator needs to pass a test and the helmsman needs to pass a test. With skills that they ought to be relatively proficient in. The specifics as to what you're attempting to avoid, however, are the following. The temporal hole. If the navigator cannot lead the vessel away from this encounter, the vessel is sucked from the warp and translated back into reality. As far as determining passage of the length of the journey and where it ends up, it counts as being severely off course, which is not a good thing to roll for. I'm just going to leave it as vague as possible, but strongly don't recommend that one. The alternative is a warp storm. If the navigator does not avoid this encounter, the vessel is pounded by a warp storm. If the ship's Geller field is fully operational, it is, I will then roll 1d10 twice on the critical hits table and choose the lowest result. The Geller field is not damaged, so no biggie. I'm not going to read the rest of that. This is table 2-6 in Navis Primer, which is PDF page 32, if you wanted to follow where I'm going for that. I recommend going after the Warp Storm, because that one is...
Sounds good to me.
I was about to say, I really don't want to be playing Warhammer 80k.
Yeah, or you could end up like several sectors or the other side of the galaxy away.
Oh.
Well, I kind of want to end up half a galaxy away because that would throw Omar's entire
It would
plan
fucking
out the
disrupt my entire campaign. Fuck you, Rev, for wishing that evil on me. On that note, let's see. Navigator, first step. Let's see. First, the navigator can attempt to avoid the encounter by rolling to detect it. This is a Sinitia's test, plus 10. Let me see her character sheet real quick.
Hold on.
Her. But I'm listening.
If we're severely off course through a temporal hole, we could end up in a different time and I could meet my mother.
You could meet your great-great-great-great-grandfather or grandson.
Wait a minute.
Yes.
Does the navigator not have the warp guide roll?
Help me out with what you're asking. The warp guide roll.
The benefit to being the warp guide gains a +5 bonus to the navigation stellar skill for purposes of steering the ship through the warp.
Yes. That one. Or the Navigator Primaris, as I thought it was called. Yes.
So I passed the roll.
Hold on. Stand by. Warp Guide gains a +5 bonus to navigation stellar skill for purposes of steering the ship through the warp. That would have changed the roll from a 52 to a 57, which means this is inconsequential.
Hey!
Oh, wait, hold on. Nope, what that affects is instead of 10 days, it's 5 days. Let me double check the Primus real quick. Make sure I'm on the right path here.
It was already
That's-
5 days.
Well, it went from 5 to 10 because of failure, but because it was a 0 degrees of success as opposed to 0 degrees of failure, it remains 5 days. So this is the only encounter that we have to manipulate or negotiate. rather.
Yay. So we still
So
have
we'll go with the 7
the
years
encounter.
I thought as long as it was 5 days or under, we didn't have an encounter.
No, it's every 5 days or portions thereof.
So we do have one encounter.
Yes, and
This is the
Yeah.
encounter. We're making the rolls for it now.
Yep, we're about to do the navigator pulling out of the way sort of rolls. So, first thing is to attempt to avoid the encounter altogether, which is Cynicians at +10. Her Cynician score is not as high as I would like it to be. It is a 39, so we need to roll a 49 or lower. There are fate points aplenty across the board.
I would like
I'm
to
gonna-
spend
I'm
a
gonna-
fate point to increase it by 10.
Okay,
Yeah.
59. Is that sound? Did I say that right? Yeah,
Yep,
59.
49.
Yes.
59.
And Icaros, do you want to spend a fate point to increase the what's it called?
What?
Only
Hold
one
on.
thing you can. Am I crazy?
An extra degree of success to a test.
Well, you have to succeed before you can get that.
Correct.
No, it's
well, no, you have to
it's
decide before you roll it.
Okay.
I'm looking at the thingy, which I typed right off of the actual section in the book.
Isn't it the same thing as a +10 basically?
The +10 increases the threshold. The extra degree of success is assuming you succeed, you go from 1 degree of success to 2 degrees, or whatever the case might be.
Or if you had 4 degrees, you get 5.
right.
Yeah.
So they do kind of
So-
stack with each other.
In this, I will say this though. In this particular case, the degrees of success is unimportant. This is simply a pass or fail. Oh,
Oh,
no,
okay,
wait,
never
no,
mind
no, I apologize. Hold on. In this case, not so much success, but by failing by 2 or more degrees, things are worse. So, getting a +1, this is going to sound silly. I'm not sure if this is what the rules intend. I'm going to say this for this case. If you fail, for instance, by 3 degrees of failure, with that +1 level of success, that changes 3 to 2 degrees of failure. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It won't help if you succeed. It will help if you fail by lessening the amount of failure. I don't know if that's really the way the rules are intended, so this is a one-time kind of decision. But that's also dependent on if you
I
spend
understand that reading of it. I
Now,
don't think it's unreasonable.
Who is just to clarify, who's making this current roll?
It'll be Icaros or Darius, because Darius gave up 1 for the +10 to 59, and then we're debating on whether or not we're going to add that second point. Well,
Give me
y'all
just
are
one
debating. I'm trying to
Since
adjudicate.
Alturios already rolled once, I think Darius should make
Yeah,
the roll.
Darius makes sense.
First,
Excuse me.
All right, but does Icarus,
Still,
do
are
you
we
want-
sending the 2?
Yeah, I'll do that. Whatever.
Okay.
That's fine.
Okay.
+10 with an extra degree of success. Actually, +20
All
total,
right.
but weird. Oof.
now what
Ouch.
what kind of test is this?
This was
I'm trying-
a...
You
This-
keep moving on while I'm asking questions.
Oh, I didn't realize there were more questions, but go ahead. Your question is, what kind of test was this?
Yes.
And what, as far as what...
Is this considered a test?
This is a test. Are you asking, like, the difficulty or the skill?
What type? Yeah. What skill type of test is this?
Cynicians,
Okay. And who's making it?
the navigator. But because the navigator's an NPC, I'm having you guys roll it.
I understand. I'm just making sure I understand narratively who's making this roll, since there was the navigator and the helmsman involved.
Correct. At the
All right,
moment, this
so-
stage right here, it's the navigator doing things.
Okay.
Quick
I will
question.
spend one of my fate points for a reroll on this.
before you
Good.
get
Okay.
there. And what I've been trying to do in the first place is I'm going to put my hand on the navigator's shoulder and say, "You've got this. You can make this.
You got it. Well,
Trust in your instincts."
you can't put your hand on the
got the
navigator's.
touch.
You can't put your hand on the navigator's shoulder because she's in the navigator's sanctum, which is guarded. Even though it
Is
is your
she?
ship, the navigator will pull rank on you in this particular spot in the ship, especially in the warp. However, you can communicate via the Vox. Your crew will facilitate this. So now, that changes our initial roll of 39 plus 20 to 39 plus 30, which is 69. Nice. That changes the result to 2 degrees of failure, reduced to 1 degree of failure, and there is the offer of a reroll. Did I miss anything?
I still want to spend a fate point on a reroll. This seems like the thing we want to succeed.
Yep.
69
Sense.
is the number. Nice. Please make your roll. Unless anybody else has questions. And I realize I may have sounded a little sarcastic. I didn't mean to. That looks like a great success to me.
Hell
Holy
yeah.
balls, yes.
Okay.
Ooh.
On passing the test, the navigator can make the attempt to avoid the encounter as per page 33 of the Navis Primer. So let me double check what that says.
You thought you were done because you made the test? Wrong. Read more pages.
Excuse me. Let's see. Oh, I can. Let's see. Navigator has time to. Okay, so the navigator has time to prepare herself for the encounter. So she's in her navigator sanctum, is doing some various chanting and rituals, and there's probably incense. And then gains a plus 20 bonus. So now we're at plus 30 for this
Why would there
navigation.
be incest?
Hang it. I'm sorry. What?
Why would there be incest?
Incense.
Oh my god. I really.
Oh, okay.
When he asked that, I really thought, shit, did I just say incest? I meant incense. Just for the record, I meant incense, the burny, smelly stuff. Well, never, nope, not touching that one. Leaving that alone. Moving on.
We're not talking Targaryens and Lannisters.
Yes, we are not. Okay, so because we passed that test, the navigator gets a plus 20 bonus on the navigation warp test to evade the physical encounter that we're about to go through. So they also get a plus 10 from a previous roll that I don't remember the specific roll. Regardless, the navigator is now making a navigation warp test at plus 30 to do her part of avoiding the encounter with the warp storm. Navigation warp is, I should remember this, but I don't. 42. We need a 72 or lower for the navigator to find the correct path around the warp storm. 72 or lower. Who's making this roll?
Rodance, Ulterios, have y'all made a roll lately?
Alterios did a moment ago. Rodance has not
I'll
yet.
roll.
I was gonna say I rolled and got 100. I'm not sure you guys want to attempt that again.
All right.
Oh.
That is a failure by
Oh.
2 degrees. Is anybody giving up a fate point?
I will spend
Yeah.
a fate point to. Oh,
I got to spend, so I'm gonna do
Okay.
that. Go
Okay.
ahead and roll again. Everything's...
Yep. 72, I think I said. Yeah, 72. Rodance. Oh, or anybody, I guess.
It's been booped.
Ooh. Wait, no.
Are you joking?
Oh my god.
There is no
Focus.
effing way.
I'm going to roll. Can I toss my fate point in now?
No. That was 2 rolls for that particular task.
only one reroll.
Yeah.
No.
Unfortunately, we don't even get to the part where Darius the helmsman gets to make his ordinary plus 10 piloting spacecraft roll. The navigator is unable to find a way around the warp storm. The ship runs into the storm. It is a bit rocky. Let me find where I need to go to roll this. Table 8-12 in here.
Alturius, RNG hates you tonight.
Clearly.
Yeah.
Alterios, just for science, click on it again, please.
Just for science. Let's see. Chapter 8 is one. Hold on, let me see.
Hey, look at that. It's not 100. The odds of it being 100 3 times in a row are pretty astronomical.
I mean, getting 100 twice was impressive.
Uh-huh.
What was the table I needed to look at? 8-12. Alright, 8-12. Where are you? 8-9. 10,
Hey,
11.
we still would have been fine on that.
8.
No, we wouldn't have. It was 72, right?
Yeah, 72. Alright. I need... how does this go above 10? Is there things get added to the roll or something?
It's probably
Like critical
plus
hits?
1 for degree of failure or something like that.
That sounds about right, sure. Okay. First roll is... I did not mean to roll that one. I'm sorry. But ignore that roll. It was supposed to be a 1d10. Okay. That's a 10. We're not going to roll a 10. We're going to roll a 3. Your sensors are damaged. Your Master of Etherics, if assuming that's the correct title, reports,
Yep.
Lord Captain, we, I mean, you're in the warp. It's difficult to see anything anyway, but it appears our auger array, or Auspex array, whatever it's called in 40k, our sensors are smashed. The storm really did a number to the ship sensors. We can't really see very well. It's not much to really see because it's the warp, but, you know, seeing is difficult. Also, in order to fix this stuff, we have to go outside on the hull, and we're not doing that in the warp.
Right. Yeah.
Someone make a
no.
note. -30. Let me see. Let me read this. The ship's Auspex arrays have been knocked out, leaving the vessel blind. Until the damage is repaired, all shooting tests suffer a -30 to hit, and all sensory tests to detect anything beyond the ship's immediate engagement range automatically fail. Additionally, as the arrays are located outside the hull, any repairs must be attempted in the void.
Yeah.
Not happening.
Now, see,
So
If
when
we-
we
if we-
come out into real space, void suits and repairs. But for now, hope we don't run into anything.
Yes. Well, I will, 1, GM hand wave a little bit. 2, you have a navigator that can see just fine in the warp.
Yay!
Unfortunately, she zigged when she should have zagged at the very last moment. There is a rending, smashing, shuddering sensation running all through the ship, and that's when your Master of Etherics says, "Oh shit, we're blind!" And that's when credits roll. As the ship begins to, or continues to, meander through the warp. 250 experience points for everybody.
Woo!
All right.
Roll for
Yay!
100.
Yay!
Let me-
I'm no longer negative XP.
Let's make a note here. This one's really important. Ship has -30 to sensors. Damages received when it failed to avoid a warp storm.
So that chain of saving throws goes. She has to see it. She
Yep.
has to plan her out, and then
Yep.
she has to tell
The pilot.
the pilot to make
Oh.
that move.
Yep. Well, so yes,
Ah,
detect it. But figure out how to get around it, and then convey that. And the pilot also has to be able to interpret and execute. Get out of that.
Yeah.
Don't go around.
Had
So
had we
effectively,
had,
3 rolls.
had we had those same series of rolls on the void hole, what would have happened? Or the temporal
In the
hole?
void hole, the temporal rift, or whatever the fuck it was, you
Yeah.
would have ended up in real space, and then there would have been additional dice rolling to determine effects, like how far away. Let me look at exiting the warp because it's all right. So stage 5, leaving the warp. If you're on target, so there's basically 3 categories: on target, slightly off course, and severely off course.
Okay, so there's our roll for coming out. I
Uh,
just 33.
All right, so stand by.
Or is it a D10?
Well, hold on, because it's a little bit more than that. So if you're on target and the navigator can see the Astronomicon, there's no roll. If you can't see it, then it's a hard -20 navigation warp. If it is slightly off course, navigation warp -20 if you can see the Astronomicon, and if you can't, you just automatically roll on the inaccurate re-entry.
The first roll then would be to whether or not she can see the Astronomicon.
No, you've already, because that roll has already been determined in the navigation process.
Right, and passed.
Right. So in this case, for our purposes, okay, let me ask this in a more, or answer this in a more specific situation. So in our case, severely off course, first she would have to make navigation -20. Nope, I'm sorry, hold on. Yeah, navigation -20. If I fail, and by, so I'm sorry, I'm reading too much and bouncing all over. All right, so first, navigation -20, and if passed, this only counts as being slightly off course, arriving as described there, which is, if you pass the count, if you fail,
Well, she rolled a 33. Is that a pass or fail?
So that would be a pass with various modifiers added. What that does, however, if you're so there's a table for inaccurate re-entry. If you arrive basically slightly off course is a 1d100 on this table. Severely off course is 1d100 plus 40.
Okay.
So
we're slightly off course.
Slightly off course, 33 is that adds 1d10 days of real space travel to get to.
I just thought you said to roll a second d100 based off the 33.
No. Oh wait. See, if we were doing this, I would have this more well prepared in my head. 33. That was to.
33 got us.
Stop rolling before we determine whether or not we're spending fate points.
Well, none of this is important.
This is hypothetical.
This is all hypothetical. I don't know why Rev's got me going down this fucking road in the first place.
Because it's fun. That's why.
So that 33 actually would have been a failure because with the -20, it still wouldn't matter. Because well, actually, hang on. Let's see. Navigation warp 42 down to a 22 with that -20. Actually, 32. Stop throwing numbers at me, damn it! I'm trying to do math in my head. All right, 42 is her base skill. -20 because it's a hard roll. Plus 10, so it's actually 32. That would still be a failure. 33 would still be a failure, which would be
slightly off course.
Yeah, so 94 actually becomes a 134 on the inaccurate re-entry, and 134. The answer is randomly determined location in a randomly determined region in the same sector and 1d5 years before or after it originally departed.
Okay, so how do you determine a random sector?
I would literally... No, well, it would be in the Koronus Expanse, and I would look at the areas of the Koronus Expanse. We have Foundling Worlds, Unbeholden Reaches, there's something in the middle there, Accursed Domain, Winter Scales Realms. It would basically be I don't know, roll 1d10 and see what happens here. 3. 1, 2, 3. I would just be like, all right, fuck it. You end up in the Unbeholden Regions. It 1d1 or 1d5. You land at Choir.
Okay, and how many and we roll how do you roll for years?
What did I say?
1d10 divided by 5.
1d5.
1d5, yeah. So 1d5 years before or after. So that's 5 years. That's 5 years. And I'm going to do even and odd for before. Even as before. So you arrived 5 years ago in Choir.
See, wouldn't that have been better, guys?
No!
That would have been weird as crap.
No, but the irony is now you're stuck in a space. What makes it worse is now when you're navigating to get the fuck out, you have no
We don't have any
charts,
charts.
which gives you penalties to your navigation and all that. You still have.
It's 5 years ago. We have all of the past charts.
No, you don't have any of the past charts. You don't
This
have
is-
charts for this region of space.
Didn't I get a chart for Silverhammer?
No,
Yeah,
we
but
gave that
that's-
up.
Well, and even if we did, that would be for current year, not 5 years ago.
Yeah, it's space moves. So,
Okay.
Rev, I hope you enjoyed your thought exercise.
Okay. I would have liked to have been 5 years ago.
It would have been funny. It would have derailed a lot. But regardless.
The point of the campaign is now to save his mother.
Yes.
Yeah, really. That's what it ends up being. Instead of exacting
What-
revenge on what got her killed or whatever.
What if I'm the portent?
What if what?
What if I'm the portent?
Oh, what if you were what? Oh, that'd be hilarious. You are actually what kills your mother.
No. What if I'm
No,
the
you-
one who warns my mother of her
Oh
ill fate?
man! Right before she dies too, you're the one that warns her, and meanwhile you're like, "Who is this fucker that told my mom she's gonna die? Who cursed her with this foreknowledge?" Or, oh no, I must find the person that warned my mom. Oh, it's that guy. Shit, she's talking to him right now. Damn it! Back into the warp. We gotta try again.
Or what if the reason that Phil has a vendetta against me is because of me?
Yeah. Oh, you bump into him and you spill coffee on his shirt 20 years ago? That's where it all begins. Okay, let's do some feedback, outro-y comments. Starting with Alturios.
I had fun. The warp stuff is wild, and it seems like you can get into trouble real quick.
Ribs uncomfortable chair. Oh my god, I am so sorry. I totally derailed what you just said. I just noticed that there's chat. Zoom chat has stuff now. Ribs totally uncomfortable
I
chair.
put that in
That is
there
amazing.
ages ago.
Oh yeah, that was a while ago. I'm just now seeing it.
Yeah.
These are amazing.
Where is Zoom chat?
If you look in the Zoom window
There
down
should
in
be
the
a
bottom
chat
center, there's a chat bubble thing that you can click on. You'll see the chat window. Alturios, you had fun.
Yeah.
That's all I remember at this point because I got so sidetracked and interrupted.
I made a comment where it seems like if you start down a bad path in the warp, there's very little you can do to get back out of it.
It can get shitty when you start failing. It can get shitty really fast. What you really
Yeah, I
want
like the last
is what you really want is just success. You're like, fuck it, success, please.
Yeah, just spend those fate points early. Spend them often.
Yeah, pretty much. You got anything else?
No, that's it. I liked it.
All right, Rodance, what do you got?
It's okay, good. Making sure I'm not talking to mute. I'm waiting to see us. I'm waiting to see how bad our trip through the warp continues to go downhill since we all roll crud.
Hopefully, things will get better in the future, very soon.
I'm
very
just
fast.
concerned about getting into space combat with no sensors.
We wouldn't even know we were in space combat until someone shot us.
Wait, we just came out of the warp. Why is the ship still rocking? Why are the sensors saying we've got multiple hull breaches? What's going on?
Someone needs to go find the use of a Mark 1 eyeball.
Well,
really.
I'm
Quick,
just glad that our
to the
engine seer,
observation deck.
I'm just glad that our engine seer has emergency repairs.
That's gonna be helpful. Anything else?
I think we're gonna get to a point where we're gonna really start seeing stuff come together. I haven't quite gotten a feel for this character yet, so
I
another
think
few sessions. I think we're getting it. We'll be into it more.
it might be a little bit slow in coming, but having today's session the way the first majority of the session went with exposing a little bit about the characters or everyone, I think it's helpful and cathartic in a way in developing not only the backstories a little bit more, but interlacing them with everybody else and having the characters start to come together that we haven't quite had much opportunity for just yet. But we'll get there. I think we'll get there.
Oh, Omar,
Yeah.
before you shut down the table, could you save the descriptions of the icons?
Descriptions of the icons.
The miniatures.
Oh God, what did you guys do to them? What did you do?
I put my name in mine.
Was it not in there?
No.
Okay, I will rectify that shortly. I didn't realize that was not there because I know what. Because when I mouse over them, they're there on mine. Oh, you know what?
They're now.
On my computer. Hold on, let me see something really fast. PC models. Jace. Oh, yeah, you're right. Okay. All right, I'll fix that.
Thank you.
Yep. In fact, I'm gonna put that in my notes for. What do I call it? Notes for future consideration. PC models need to be named. Rodance, did you have anything else?
Nope.
Who's next? Where's my Zoom window? That's actually Darius. Darius, what do you got?
Oh.
Besides your, hey, name the PC models, you dumbass.
Yeah.
That's it? Awesome. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, pretty much. I enjoyed the session.
Excellent. Rev, my one bit of feedback for you, because you mentioned a moment ago, going too fast for the rolls and not giving you in particular, but anybody in general, a chance to ask questions or whatever. That is definitely a me thing. So for myself, I will take feedback from that and receive it as slow down and make sure your players know what you're talking about when you're adding up all these modifiers really fast and then executing rolls before people have a chance to say, oh, by the way, add +10 to that because I'm going to throw in a fate point, or whatever the case might be.
Right.
But also,
To be fair, if my rolling continues, it's not going to help you.
yeah. But beyond that, Rev, what else you got?
No, that was just about it, and it wasn't necessarily like, and it's been a fate point. It's that when I'm asking, is this, I'm asking, is that a test? What is the test for? Because my character's description is fairly specific that I can add a +10 to tests once per round.
You have the +10 per round, which is, to me, invokes combat. But don't you also, as the Lord Captain in the ship rolls, doesn't that also give you a +10 to something?
I wish it's not nearly as nice. It's
or +5 or something like that.
If I recall correctly, let me look at it. Because I got it right here.
It's very minor. My mistake.
It's a +10 to hold fast.
Oh, that's right. That's what it is. It's +10, and hold fast is used for defending against or repelling borders, if I remember right. I remember that now.
Hold fast is actually not even that nice. I'm looking at the wrong book. Hold on a second. I forgot that
Resisting fear?
No, it's gonna be a shipboard based sort of thing.
Yeah. And the shipboard based thing is annoying to get at. It's 2 something, I forget.
Australis.
218 or 219 for the PDF.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
No, you get your exceptional leader bonus. It says so right there. Right after the +10 to hold fast, it says if he possesses the exceptional leader ability, which is the class ability for rogue traders, grant it to anyone aboard the ship once per strategic round as a free action.
Strategic round. So I'm not sure how
Ignore
strategic.
the normal restrictions for who can benefit from this ability.
So that means ignore this. I don't necessarily have to see them. Is that what it's saying to ignore?
Correct.
Okay.
Ignore the normal restrictions. Anyone aboard the ship.
Okay. I was worried that the navigator. I wasn't going to object, but I was worried that the navigator wouldn't be able to benefit from that since I couldn't see them on the bridge.
I would have listen. If the rules, unless the rules specifically say something to that effect, I'd have been like, no, your navigator is doing as ordered by the Lord Captain. You have comms with the navigator. That's obvious that you have comms with the navigator because the navigator has to be able to talk to the pilot when they say things like, "Hey, there's a warp storm ahead. Turn left." So communicating with the navigator is unquestionably possible.
Okay. So my next question is, since warp travel is not a strategic round per se,
Correct.
when we're doing our navigational tests, is it going to be once per all of our navigational tests, or is it once per say we're trying to figure out our path, you can do it, great, that's 10, and then oh no, we didn't do it, now I've got to steer around the storm, do I get to use it again, or do I have to wait for a different series of
I
events?
think what it'll do is it'll be once per encounter, whatever that one encounter might be for that 5-day stretch.
Okay, so in the
Unless
events,
it's strategic rounds.
Well, and when it's combat rounds, whether it's space combat or individual ground combat, then it goes back to the standard one combat per combat round.
so
It's
my
just
next
the
question,
ship. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Rev. Go ahead.
would the time in preventing an encounter in that 5 days go toward the rest of that, go toward the encounter, or is that something separate?
You're talking about that initial roll as far as detecting the encounter in order to go around it.
Or entering the warp, you know.
No.
So no, it wouldn't count. That's a separate roll.
You're
Or that's a
talking.
separate-
Are you? Well, let me be clear. Are you asking if it's when you're going into warp, or are you talking about when you're attempting to avoid the encounter because it's part of that 5-day stretch?
Either. I'm asking you to give me some
Yeah.
even if it takes you till next week, give me some
Some guidelines on when you can use it.
What counts as a round in the warp
Okay. I got
ability?
you. I think it would not count insofar as the actual warp transit. It would be.
Don't guess. Don't speculate. Give me something written. Think about it for the week.
This motherfucker just said, put it in writing and give me sources. Cite your sources, bitch. That's all I heard.
Didn't happen.
I don't want to. Maybe it'll work this way, and next week it works somehow different. I got enough of that in Pendragon.
You did. I won't deny that. Some of that was me learning the system and then realizing, fuck, I made a mistake.
I know that. That's why I'm saying don't give me a by the seat of your pants answer and then change it. Think about it for the week and give me a solid answer.
I'll see what I can come up with.
Something I can refer back to when you're like, no, I've changed my mind, and I'm like, well, here it says different.
Here in this document dated the 4th of September 2024, you motherfucker. All right, Rev, I'm almost scared to ask. Do you have anything else, or can we move on to Warner? I am scared. I'm not almost. I am scared.
I'm just wondering if the double entendre of my betting site name was caught.
No. Warner, what kind of outro comments you got?
I enjoyed tonight. I would like in the future to have more interpersonal, actions. I mean, one-on-one is fine, but a group dynamic is different than one-on-one.
Yes.
So I'm looking forward to that in the campaign. And, I knew that this situation with the D100 system was capricious already. I've played this before, and I agreed to play again. So
what I'm hearing is the stress I'm feeling right now is really my fault, not the GM's.
No.
Well, it's hey, I'm glad that you took the feedback on board as far as the different bonuses and stuff.
Yeah.
because the system is already capricious enough without that crap.
Yeah.
And now I am in my, position of comfort. This is what I have accepted, and it is positive feedback. It's not, hey, this is stress. It's, hey, this is my expectation.
Yep. No, and I think, and not to be terribly repetitive or even sound like I'm defensive, I think my thought process was this first time that you guys go into the war, this is the cherry busting round, and we're gonna do it full on the way it's supposed to, whatever. And then I will start thinking about narrative reasons for why some of those willpower tests will be slightly different for everybody. But looking back now, it probably would have made a little bit more sense to only have 1 or 2 of you experiencing some of these problems than 4 out of the 5. Because even with just 1 or 2, everybody still sees and experiences how things can be wonky in this D100 system of crazy, as opposed to like forcing 4 out of 5. I shouldn't say forcing, because the rolls are what they are. But we ended up with 4 out of 5 going, oh shit, things just got real.
Mm-hmm.
Has Huskar flashbacks.
Yeah.
But anyway,
yeah,
it's in a good spot. Thank you for receiving the feedback from last time. This is me appreciating that it was, in fact, taken on board this time, and I am looking forward to more party dynamic, interpersonal opportunity in the future.
Indeed. And I will, of course, be... I apologize, first off. I know there, even with the one-on-one, I was quite a bit interruptive. I apologize. I'm laughing about it because I'm easily amused, but I really was interruptive, and I probably should have shut my mouth a bit more and try to resort more to at least typing in TTS chat where it's less disruptive. Still admitting it's disruptive, point blank, but at least less disruptive than me blurbing in the middle of your conversations. That has been a problem of mine in my real life for a long time, how easy it is for me to just interject right in the middle of somebody else still speaking. And this is something I've been struggling with for years once I started to consciously recognize it. So, as for what it's worth, I apologize. I am working on it. I'm trying to get better. I hope to get better at some point sooner rather than later. But this is definitely me taking onus on my interruptusness. Not sure if those are the right words. I am making a note.
I think we understand.
Yeah. I am making a note just so I don't forget, because I'm horrible. If I don't make a note, I'm far more likely to forget. When can Rev use his +10 command thingy while in the warp / in reference to warp critical?
Or just out of combat in general.
Yes, because I obviously know how often I can use it in combat.
Yeah.
So what about out of combat tests? How often?
It seems like
for example, I really wanted to give it to Jace's character when he was making his rolls to acquire the navigational charts. But in theory, that was out of combat and not within a round, so I didn't.
Yeah. Throwing it out there as an idea, I feel like once per scenario or once per scene is a bit much. But what if it was in a non-combat aspect once or twice per session?
I mean, honestly, if you want to go by the rules, 1 round of combat is like 20 seconds. So I should be able to use it once every 20 seconds.
I mean, that's a really loose interpretation. Also, you're not wrong with it. I just think that totally breaks the system.
Well, it may not be in the rules, but you might be able to find out what other GMs have said about it.
Yeah,
that's definitely... Some people probably said, hey, not out of combat at all. Others might have said, hey, it worked for our table to work it this way, and you can decide that for yourself.
That's actually a good question to throw at James, just to see what he has to say as far as feedback.
I like the every 20 seconds.
Of course you do, because it means everybody gets a +10 literally every time there's a roll.
Yeah. Unless there's 2 back-to-back rolls, like if two separate people try to lockpick the same chest, I can't can't, for lack of a better term, bless both of them.
All right, that's enough. That's enough out of here. Oh man, we need to
Well, I
wrap
mean,
up.
that's the D&D term. I just cast bless.
Yeah, no, I know. Well, that is it here for us here tonight. Thank you, everyone, for stopping by. Thanks for hanging out. If you enjoyed the show, please consider liking and subscribing, either here on twitch.tv or on YouTube. Please also consider joining our Discord server, the link for which you can find in the description below. Or if you are still watching on Twitch and for some reason you're not on Discord, real quick before I shut everything down, type !Discord, and you'll get the link for the Discord server there.
And remember, folks, horseshaft.cc.
No, just you. Lastly, please feel free to leave your comments and likes on the YouTube video, and I'll be sure to answer within a reasonable time frame if you do have a comment. That is it. That's us. Stay safe out there, my friends. This world is a grimdark world, so make sure you're doing what you have to do in order to take care of you and yours. As for me and mine, we are out of here. Have a good night. See you next time. Hopefully that's interruptiveness. Something.